Island of Sheep by John Buchan. Adapted for radio in 3 parts by Antony Kearey. With Nigel Antony as Richard Hannay.
The compartment was blue with pipe smoke, full of city men going home to their comfortable southern suburbs. Most of them knew each other, and I sat quietly in my corner, my thoughts racing down dim alleys of the past. I'd been to a debate in the House of Commons, and the Colonial Secretary had referred to a memorandum written years ago. A very able memorandum, he called it, by a certain Mr. Lombard. A certain Mr. Lombard. My companions were talking about golf, and the man in the corner opposite me was enlarging on a new steel-shafted driver. He was blonde, plump and baldish, and had a pleasant voice, whose tones woke a recollection which I could not fix. My mind went back to Lombard. I had not seen him for more than a quarter of a century. I had believed that sooner rather than later he would make a resounding name for himself. Death alone would stop him. Of course, there'd been the war. The compartment had all but emptied. Only my vis-à-vis remained. He folded his newspaper, lit a cigarette, and for the first time had a proper look at me. In his face I saw the slow dawning of recognition. He hesitated, and then he spoke my name, and it was the precise tone of his voice that did the trick with me.
Hannay? Isn't it Dick Hannay?
Lombard. I haven't seen or heard of you for 20 years, and then today the Colonial Secretary refers to you in the House, and I've been thinking of you ever since.
Dick Hannay? How do you do? You're looking well.
Well, you too. And flourishing.
I hope the Secretary said nothing uncomplimentary. We're having a bit of a controversy with his department. Over Iraq. I've often heard of you. I've been hoping to run across you someday.
Well, I'm so very happy to see you, Lombard. For some reason, I feared you might not have come through the war. You did, thank God.
And so did you, Dick. Gloriously. A general. Much decorated. And a KCB, aren't you?
Oh, that wasn't really deserved.
What? Not for your counter-espionage? Ah, yes, my dear fellow. I have my ear very close to the ground. I need two in my line.
And what line is that? I remember when we met in Rhodesia, you couldn't decide whether to go into commerce or the diplomatic. Which was it?
Commerce. And I wish I made up my mind sooner. I wasted several years chasing my own tail. I'm a merchant banker.
I was sure if it had been the diplomatic, we would have heard of you. You had the clear vision of a Cecil Rhodes. Your goal was so clear, a federation of Central Africa.
Ah, the dreams of one's youth. Absurd, really.
Were they? They didn't seem so at the time. No, it's the passing of the years, softer living, our becoming older, that makes them appear so. Was that affair at Mafudi's kraal absurd?
Ah.
When we stood shoulder to shoulder with Haraldsen?
Haraldsen. There's a name from the past. That must have been back in 1910.
25 years ago. And we swore that oath. Remember how it all began?
Yes, I do.
I was prospecting for copper, and you came on trek with me, shooting game.
Yes.
It was my first job. I'd been out with that commission and had a spot of leave.
I haven't lost heart. I know it was only Clipspring today, but I'll bag a kudu yet.
Now, there are plenty here, and you've time enough. Oh, I want to call on old Haraldsen. He's fossicking somewhere near Mafudi's kraal. Now, there's a character for you, Lombard.
You said he was a successful prospector.
Successful? He must be worth $1 million at the least. He struck it rich in the round, and the money's still flowing in from that little source.
Why does he still go on? I mean, why not retire to the flesh pots of Europe?
God knows. He must be 60 if he's a day. I think he's driven on by some inner compulsion to strike the greatest treasure ever known.
Dining off gold plates, rather than these tin affairs, eh? Well, money couldn't buy you a better cook for the campfire than your boy, Hannay. The meal was marvellous. Good Lord! Oh, where did you come from?
Peter!
I didn't...
Oh, Peter! Peter Pienaar.
Hello, Dick.
You old rascal. You could creep up on old Nick himself, Peter. Oh, Peter, Mr. Lombard.
Lombard.
Peter Pienaar, my good friend.
How do you do?
It was not the Peter Pienaar we knew from the war, but a Peter 10 years younger, with no grey in his beard, and as trim and light and hard as an Olympic athlete. But he had the same mild face and the same sleepy eyes, and the same uncanny quietness. Peter made no more noise in his appearances than the change from night to morning. He ate all the food we could give him, drank 2 bottles of beer, then filled a deep, bowled pipe. We waited for him to explain himself. I was fairly certain the meeting was not accidental.
I've hurried to find you, Dick. There's going to be dirty work in Makapan's country.
There's sure to be dirty work when you're around, Peter. What is it this time?
Police business. Captain Arkol sent me to watch their party heading this way. Friends of yours, Dick. Nasty friends. Very bad things will happen, which the captain cannot stop, because they will happen quickly. There are 2 white men, Troth and Albinus, and a Portuguese half-caste, Dorando, who's wanted for robbery and murder. And 2 more bad skellums have joined them. An Australian and Jim Stringer from the Diamond Field.
Stringer? Oh, he's a bad lot, Lombard. Daring, resourceful, and a deadly shot.
These friends are moving north and moving fast. They're not looking for gold, not hunting, nor admiring the scenery. They're going to Mafudi's kraal, not to see old Mafudi in his red blanket. Someone else is there.
Haraldsen?
Yeah, the boss. He's there with only the Dutchman. Malan is not a fighter, only 1 arm. These skellums mean to lay hands on Haraldsen, and he will not come happily out of their hands. Perhaps not alive. I am going straight to Mafudi's, and I think you are coming with me, Dick.
Of course. But what about Arkol and his men?
A runner has been sent, but the police are 100 miles away. Troth will be at the kraal tomorrow morning. I can shoot a little, and you can shoot a little, Dick?
I can loose off at any rate.
Good, Mr. Lombard. Good.
Troth is a great scoundrel and my enemy. He was my partner and tried to swindle me. He comes now like a ghost out of the past, and he means evil. I will meet them here and have done with it.
Then it's the 5 of us, Haraldsen, and 1 of us crippled against 5 of them.
No, Hannay, count Malan out. He has a bad attack of fever.
Pity. Then it's the 4 of us.
It is worse than that. I have run out of ammunition and waiting for a fresh supply.
What are your guns?
Mannlichers, yours are Mausers.
Oh, that fairly puts the lid on it, Peter.
We must make a plan. Captain Arkol will be here today, at any rate not later than tomorrow. No, we cannot fight these men in the open. We must find a place where we can defend ourselves. A strong fort.
But where, Peter? It's all open country. There's no time to build a stockade.
Look, above the kraal, the hill of the Blue Leopard.
But that is a very holy place, Peter. Few go there but the priests. Inside is a black stone that they say fell from heaven.
I know. And round it is a 5-foot hedge of thorns and a big fence of stakes.
They'll never let us in.
Perhaps they will. I'll try. I've always been good friends with Mafudi's folk. Wait for me.
Well, he's likely to be some time. We must be prepared to move immediately. Haraldsen, collect your valuables together.
Yeah.
We'll make a litter for Malin. We must hurry. Troth and his gang might appear any minute.
Peter, my clever friend, this is a fine fort indeed. It would take a regiment to hack through the stockade. And that thorn, that's impenetrable.
The danger point is the gate.
I think 2 of us could hold it with rifles. And with luck, the gang might miss us altogether.
Dick, I think they're here. Troth's gang is here.
Where are they, Lombard?
Making hell in the kraal. See?
Yes. Peter, your eyes are keen. How many are there? Troth, Albinus, Dorando.
And the long legs of Jim Stringer and 4 other white men. 8 of them. 2 to 1.
Peter, find a position higher up the hill with a good view of the approaches. Lombard and I will station ourselves near the gate.
And Haraldsen.
His life is the most valuable. We'll keep him out of sight.
Okay, Dick.
Lombard, we'd better get down to the gate.
Difficult to keep one's footing. Look, Dick. Here come 2 of them. White handkerchief. Flag of truce, eh?
We'll see what they've got to say. You take that side of the gate and cover Dorando. You 2! That's near enough. State your business.
We've come to see our friend, Mr. Haraldsen. To see him on business. We'll be obliged if he'd step out and come to luncheon. You too, Mr. Hannay.
I've got another idea, Dorando. You and Stringer leave your guns where you stand, come inside the stockade and take luncheon with us.
Thank you. We'd be delighted.
Stop! Down guns, including the ones in your pockets, or stay where you are. Lombard, don't take your eyes off Dorando. I've got Stringer marked.
Is that a way to talk to gentlemen?
It's the way to talk to you, my lads. Drop your guns and come inside. If not, I'll give you 1 minute to get out of here.
All right, Hannay. But we'll be back.
First round to us, Lombard.
What I'd give for a drink of water. Captain Arkle must be here soon, Dick.
I hope so. It'll soon be dark. Peter, when does the moon rise?
Not until 9 o'clock. When it is black night, they will attack. They are clever men. How is Malan, boss?
Bibbling in his fever.
Would you like my rifle?
No, my friend. What I would like is Peter's axe.
Boss.
Thank you. You see, I can still handle it.
Oh, you look like an old Viking.
I have the blood in my veins. I think you will let me out and I will face them myself. It is my quarrel. Now, what have you to do with it?
Peter and I are your friends, and Mr. Lombard
is a friend of Mr. Hannay.
Well said, Lombard. Now, we'd better take up positions. You and Peter station yourselves at the summit. I'll go down to the gate.
I shall come with you, Hannay.
Look, over there, they've fired the thorns.
They're as dry as tinder. The fire will spread like... They've started one on the other side. Come on, Lombard.
Down to the gate, Haraldsen. You all right?
Yes.
I don't know where the fire's coming next. The gate! They're there!
Ah, you got him.
They've set the gate on fire now. Keep down, Haraldsen. I'll pick them off if they try to rush us. Haraldsen, come back!
You
come back!
You didn't reckon on...
Peter! Lombard! Peter!
How is it with you?
Old Haraldsen's gone berserk. Jumped the remains of the gate, split somebody's head with your axe, and careered off into the dark. And you?
Very confused. Gang kept firing different parts of the hedge. Don't know where the main attack will come. It will be roast meat soon. Look, you see? By the flames of that new fire.
Troth.
Yeah. Troth.
Peter, you got him.
One less to deal with. Hey, Dick, listen.
I haven't heard that sound since the Matabele rising.
The Mashona on the warpath.
Their blood's up. The sacred place has been outraged.
We'll make short work of the rest of them. And hope Kearey is more useful than a gun in the dark. You're safe, Dick.
Peter! Dick! Haraldsen!
Lombard! Over here! Over here!
What's that noise?
Mafudi's men finishing our work for us. At one time they were a famous fighting tribe. Like this old rascal here, Haraldsen, you crazy man. What happened to you?
I was with you at the gate. I had a bullet through my head, another through my pocket. I wasn't going to wait for one through my body, so I saw red and went for them.
Boss, I wish I had seen that.
Well, it did not last. I burst through the gang into the arms of Mafudi's men, who kept me out of more danger. And my friends, Captain Arkol and his men, have arrived. They are rounding up the gang. The 5 that are left. 3 are dead, including Troth.
I know. I got him.
You did. Good. And where is Malahide?
At the summit. By the sacred stone.
That is where we must go now. There is one thing yet to do. A gang of villains would have killed me for my money, but they did not kill me, and do not know where my money is. Yeah, come, my friends. The moon is rising. You Pienaar, you Hannay, you Lombard are my blood brothers. You are ready to stand by me to the end, but the end has not come. A legacy of ill will follow this day, and Troth will bequeath that legacy to his successors. I want the 3 of you to swear that if I call for you, you will come to my aid wherever in the world you might be. And you must be ready to come to my son's help, for this vendetta might not end with my own life. And you are to hand on that duty to your sons. Raise your right hands and swear these words after me. By dew, fire, running water, ice, and the air itself.
By dew, fire, running water, ice, and the air itself. Lord, it seems a long way off now. Those were funny old times we had together, Hannay. I wish I'd recognized you sooner. We could have talked. I live down here. Get off at this station.
Oh, is that your parcel on the rack?
Oh, thank you, Hannay. It would never do to leave the fish behind, would it? I buy it from Wester's in Billingsgate. Now, have I got everything? We mustn't lose sight of each other. What about lunching one day at my club at the Junior Carlton? Or better still, come down for a weekend. I can give you a decent game of golf. Ah, there's Beryl. She's brought the car. Been great seeing you again. Promise you'll come to us one weekend. Beryl will write to you. Goodbye, Hannay.
Goodbye, Lombard. I continued the journey home to Foss, considerably dissatisfied with life. Lombard had been absorbed into the solid, complacent middle class, and was apparently happy in it. The man whom I had once thought of as a young eagle was content to be a barn-door fowl. I had a sense of the futility of hopes and dreams. I looked at my face in the mirror on the carriage wall, and it reminded me of my recent travelling companions, who had pattered about golf. Then I became angry. "You're a fool," I said. "You're becoming soft and elderly, which is the law of life. You haven't the grit to grow old cheerfully." That put a stopper on my complaints, but it left me dejected and only half convinced.
Morning, darling. You've been out bright and early.
Morning, Mary. Peter's been putting more egg through her paces for me. He's trained her well.
I should hope so. The time he spends with her. Our son's whole life revolves round that falcon. Oh, coffee?
Thank you.
We have a guest for dinner tonight.
Oh, didn't know we'd invited anyone?
We hadn't. It's Lord Clanroyden. He's written.
Sandy. Thought he was in China. How long's he been back?
Oh, a few days. He writes that he's been closeted in the Foreign Office since the Commission returned.
I can well imagine. Is Barbara coming with him?
No. She and the baby are going north straight away. Sandy follows them to Leverlaw after he's said hello to us. Oh, you better read his letter.
Thank you. It'll be good to talk to Sandy again. He's kept active, very much in public affairs. And when he's in his best form...
He might be able to give you the philosophy for advancing age you seem to be seeking.
There we are.
Oh, there's nothing to beat the sense of the English countryside. A morning like this, you feel the magic of the place.
I don't feel I deserve it, Sandy. I'm not earning it. I'm getting soft and slack.
You feel like that? So do I, often. I suppose it's a proper feeling. Keeps you humble, makes you count your mercies. Enjoy your comforts, but sit loose to them. Never take them for granted. That's the Eastern attitude to life.
What were your impressions of China?
That'll take a time to answer. Let me ask you a question first. Yeah? You remember a man called Haraldsen?
Oh, good Lord, I was talking about him only the other day. Marius Haraldsen, a Dane.
That's right.
I haven't seen him for a quarter of a century. You come across him?
No, he's dead now, but I knew him at the end of the war, and after.
Well, he was about 60 when I knew him. And tough. Where did you meet him?
Persia, 1918. Haraldsen was as much mystic as gold hunter.
Yeah.
He told me about his past life, of a son somewhere in Europe and a house I never discovered where, as if they were things very far away. What filled his thoughts was a treasure he was going to find someday. To find his treasure had become an end in itself, quite apart from the use he meant to make of it.
Did he find it?
Not in Persia. I heard of him next in Xinjiang 12 years ago.
Oh, that was a real trouble spot. Weren't all the foreigners booted out or something?
They were. And he somehow crossed 2,000 miles of desert and got to China. He lived there for another 10 years. Must have been 80 when he died, so he had a goodish run for his money. And he found his Ophir.
How do you know?
It's a strange story. I'll tell you and Mary after dinner. Now, what do you make of this? Open the bag, Mary. Careful.
Oh, jade, is it? It's lovely. It's one of the finest emerald colours I've seen.
May I have it, Mary? Oh, yes. It really is a beautiful tablet. Oh, hieroglyphics. Where did you come by this, Sandy?
In Peking, a junk shop near the Anting Gate. I was looking for something for Barbara when I found it.
It's exquisite, Sandy. It's... what do they call this blue? The kingfisher's back?
Yes, that's right. It's a bit of the imperial stone, no doubt of it.
You were lucky to buy it. Isn't jade the one thing that keeps its value in China?
I think the only reason it was unsold was its size. It's too clumsy for personal adornment, and the inscriptions made it hard to fashion into an ordinary jewel. Now, Dick, what do you make of the lettering of these inscriptions?
Oh, well, you're better at languages than I am. I can't read it, just whorls and twists.
Try the other side.
Now, let me see. Looks as though it's been scratched in with a penknife, but the writing is clearer. Oh, wait a minute, it's Latin. At least I think so. Marius Haraldsen.
We'll come to him in a minute, Dick. Read on.
Marius Haraldsen, Moriturus haec scripsit thesauro felicita invento.
What do you make of that?
Well, don't keep me in suspense. I have no Latin, Sandra.
Marius Haraldsen, being on the point of death and happily having found his treasure, has written these words.
Found his treasure. The old Viking. Oh, there's something else. Gutok.
That's a place name.
Ah. And a date I can't quite decipher.
The 15th of October, the year before last.
Well, this is wonderful. News of my old friend out of the darkness 4,000 miles from where I knew him.
Where is Gutok?
Down in the province of Shusan on the trade route to Burma.
I have a map somewhere here. You'd like to show us?
So, Haraldsen found his treasure. I wonder what it was.
An old mine or an outcrop. Must have been the real thing. He knew too much to make mistakes.
But he discovered also that he was dying, so he committed his testament to jade, knowing it was too precious to disappear. He was a fatalist and left a good deal to Providence.
And he's won out. He'd have liked us to know that he'd found his treasure.
And I'm fairly certain that spidery stuff is an account of how to reach it. Probably done by one of his Chinese assistants. I'm prepared to bet that if we had it translated, we should know what Haraldsen discovered.
You're going to look for it, Sandy? Now, here's a map of the area.
Not I. I never cared about treasure. You're an idle man, Dick. Why not go yourself and have a shot at digging it up?
Can I have that tablet again? Marius Haraldsen. I think of the blood and tears this must have accumulated on its way to that Peking curio shop. Yeah. You know, I feel, I don't know why, that there is something in this affair for me. Finding the treasure isn't the challenge, but I'll know it when it comes. Do you want a taxi, Lombard?
There's no sign of one, but it's a nice day. I think I'll walk up St. James's. I like your crowd, Hannay. I've only been there once or twice. Thank you for luncheon.
I wish you'd been able to do it justice.
Had no appetite. This wretched cold. I was drenched golfing last weekend, and the east wind did the rest.
There's more to it than the cold. You have something on your mind.
Ah, well, yes. Remember we talked of Haraldsen when we met in the train the other month? Well, I've seen him.
You've seen a ghost? He's dead.
I don't mean the old man. I mean his son. But how do you know that Haraldsen is dead? The son doesn't know.
It's too long a story to tell now, but it's a fact. Oh, look, there's one. Taxi! Where are you off to? The city?
The exchange.
I'll come with you if I may. I'd like to hear about young Haraldsen. Oh, Royal Exchange. Tell me, how did you meet young Haraldsen? What sort of age is he?
Well over 30. Perhaps nearer 40.
Does he resemble his father?
Physically, yes. He's a very large man. Looks like an ungainly Jutland farmer. But he's desperately afraid. Keeps looking over his shoulder. Calls himself Mr. Bosworth. And tries to make himself ordinary and inconspicuous, which, of course, only succeeds in drawing attention to himself. He wrote to me. Asked for an interview and told me a regular blood and thunder yarn of how he was in deadly danger, with a lot of crooks out gunning for him.
Good Lord. You think there's any truth in it?
He didn't look a fool, and I'll swear he's honest. He asked me to help him. Says he has some sort of claim on me. Hannay, you remember the oath?
Yes, I do. I remember it all right.
Well, so do I, but hang it all, I've made a position for myself. Next year I hope to be a director of the Bank of England. I've my reputation to consider. What's to be done?
I think you'd better turn the whole thing over to me. I'll get to the bottom of it all, but I suspect it's all lunatic fancy.
And if it's serious?
If there's anything in it, I suppose I must take a hand. After all, I was a close friend of his father, which you never were. No sane man would expect you to butt into a show of this kind. Oath or no oath. Besides, you'd be no good at it.
Oh?
Oh, I've led a different kind of life from you.
You're a good fellow, Hannay, and you mean well, but I can see what you take me for. You think I'm a fatted calf that has made a success in the city and thinks only of his bank balance and his snug house and his Saturday's golf. Well, you're wrong. I've had a soft life compared to you, but I've had to take plenty of risks, some of them very big ones. I'm a bit flabby and out of training in body and mind, but I've never gone back on my word. If there's anything in Haraldsen's story, my promise stands. And I'm in the business up to my neck, the same as you. If you don't agree to that, then you can stand out and I'll take it on myself.
If I thought as you say I did, I made a howling mistake, and I apologize. We've picked up our friendship where we left it at Mafudis Kraal, and we'll see this thing through together.
Right.
When do you see Haraldsen again?
This afternoon. He'll probably be waiting for me.
But, Mr. Lombard, who is this? I understood
This is Major General Sir Richard Hannay.
Well, I'm not looking for English generals and lords. I'm looking for a South African mining engineer, Dick Hannay.
Then you've met your man. I'm Dick Hannay. I'm also Sir Richard. More important, I swore an oath to your father, as did Lombard here.
You will stand beside me.
You may count us both in. Isn't that so, Lombard?
Both of us.
I apologize, Sir Richard. Now my confidence is being restored.
That's good. Why don't we all sit down? Mr. Haraldsen?
No, thank you.
So, Mr. Haraldsen, what have you done to have a gang of crooks chasing after you?
No, nothing. I'm a peaceful man. It is really a plot against my father. I cannot warn him because I haven't heard from him for 3 years.
When did you see him last?
It must be 8 years ago, but always, you see, has been the main influence in my life. When he ranged the world, I stayed at home. You see, my father had a plan for me. And from a small boy, I was put into the strictest training. I was to be a master of all northern learning, to have a first-class business education, and to learn how to handle big affairs.
A blend of Sir Walter Scott, Bismarck, and Cecil Rhodes. Did it work?
No, not for me. It was all duty, but no love. I am a scholar. I like a quiet life. When I was married, we went to live on an island of my mother's, the Island of Sheep. My father had built a fine house there.
And is your wife there now?
She died with her first child, Mr. Lombard.
I am so sorry. Did the child live?
Anna is now in her 13th year. She is at school in England.
And before you came to England, you were living on your island?
Yes, Mr. Lombard. I had my house and my books and my daughter Anna. She was with me. I was so happy.
Are you well off, Mr. Haraldsen?
Well, money has never interested me, but I believe I am very rich. There are bankers in Copenhagen who look after these things, and they tell me I needn't stint myself, but what is that to the loss of a quiet mind?
So, tell me, what precisely is this danger you're in?
2 years ago came solicitors' letters to say they were acting for their client, Mr. Lancelot Troth, who had a claim on my father.
Troth? No, he's dead. Shot by Peter Pienaar at Mafuti's Kraal.
Yes, I know. I've read all those old papers of my father's. And he warned me that the feud, yes, would be handed down from father to son. But it's happened. Mr. Troth is the son.
What followed the solicitor's letters?
A letter from Mr. Troth and Mr. Eric Albinus, his partner, demanding restitution. They suggested a meeting to settle terms.
You didn't go, I hope?
No, I worried myself into a fever thinking what to do next. Then came another letter to say that Troth was coming to Norland on the yacht of a friend, Mr. Barrelty, and that we would meet 3 weeks later. I could see that alone on that island I would be at their mercy. So I shut up the house and left my steward in charge and disappeared with my daughter. I came to London where I would be completely obscure.
If the Barrelty you mention is Joseph Barrelty, he's a stockbroker.
Oh, yeah?
Helped finance the Lepka reef flotation thing. And an unsavoury business that was.
It all fits together. Did they go to your island of sheep?
I love my island, General, and those villains came and they desecrated it. They ransacked the house. My steward wrote to me.
And what have you done since?
I put Anna in an English school under a different name, and I travelled about the country using different names and never stopping long in one place. I've had several letters from Troth, all forwarded from my bank. You must read this last paragraph. You'll see that I'm not safe.
Don't imagine you can escape me. I will track you down, though I have to give up my life to the job. And the price you will have to pay will double each month I have to wait.
You see, this is a brigand. I cannot go home because of their threats.
Well, anyhow, you're safe enough here.
No, I'm not safe here. They have found people who can identify me. One day in the street, I saw a barber from Copenhagen who's often shaved me. He tried to follow me. He's a poor man, wouldn't be here on his own account. The net is drawing in on me. I cannot long escape them. So I'm very desperate. And that's why I've sought out my father's friends. And it's not only for myself, I fear. There's my daughter. I dare not visit her in case they follow me. They might kidnap. Then I should go mad. Then there is my father, too. He might go to the Norlands. I can't warn him.
Your father died 2 years ago at a place called Gutok in Chinese Tibet. I heard only the other day. He found his treasure.
Ah. Well, then he died happy. I cannot sorrow for him, for he has greatly ended a great life.
Lombard.
Yes?
I believe every word. This man is in great danger, and I have a duty to help him. Mr. Haraldsen, tomorrow you pack your kit. You're coming to stay with me at Foss. I will not travel down with you, or we shouldn't be seen together. But put on your oldest clothes and travel third class. My keeper will meet you at the station. Your name will still be Mr. Bosworth. So Valdemar Haraldsen came to Foss. I impressed on him that he was to lie low, and he lodged with my keeper, Jack Godstow, in his cottage. Valdemar was in a pitiable state of nerves. 2 terrors weighed on him. One, that something very bad might happen to his daughter at any moment. The other was that the business might drag on without anything happening, and he would be shut off from his Norlands and his beloved island of sheep forever. But I told him that Lombard and I wouldn't let matters drag on, and I did my best to minister to his tattered nerves. I also wrote to Sandy Clanroyden, telling him of the latest developments and enlisting his help. My son Peter was recuperating after an operation for appendicitis, and busily attending to 6 little kestrels, a young badger, and his pride and joy, Morag, the peregrine falcon. Valdemar relaxed with Peter. They shared the same interest in the countryside. It occurred to me that Peter's company might be good for Valdemar, and there was another reason, too.
That was better, wasn't it, Father?
Much better, Peter. You'd have the length of the pool if you could just turn your wrist, like so.
I try, but it doesn't come easily yet.
Now keep at it. You're so nearly there. You thought any more about our talk? About you spending more time with Mr. Haraldsen?
Yes, Father, and I'd like that. He's told me fascinating things about the seabirds in the Norlands. When he talks about his island, his eyes take on a faraway look.
Well, Mr. Haraldsen is an invalid, Peter, and must keep quiet. It's just possible that some person or persons might turn up here who wouldn't be well disposed to him. Now keep your eyes very wide open, and let me know at once if you see or hear of anything suspicious, outside the usual. I don't care how small it is. We can't afford to take any chances with Mr. Haraldsen.
I spend most of my allowance on hawks. Can you see her now, above the line of the trees?
Yes, I see her.
I had a goshawk last year. Jezebel. Big as an eagle.
These different types of hawks I don't know. In Norland it's nearly all seabirds, but Morag is most graceful.
She's the first falcon gentle I've ever had, and worth every minute of her training.
Yes, how long?
What is it, Mr. Haraldsen?
It's a horseman coming over the hill.
Oh yes.
Who is he, Peter?
Well, I can't make out. Probably from the racing stables. The grooms often exercise the horses along here. Well, we'll soon see. He's coming past us. Oh, Morag, nothing wrong with her tail feathers now. Look at her glide. Good girl.
That man is looking very hard at us, Peter.
Interested in Morag, I should think. Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Mr. Haraldsen, what are you doing?
I don't wish him to see my face.
Well, don't worry. As I said, he's probably from the racing stables. If we're going to be on time for dinner, we'd better make tracks.
So why did you think he wasn't a groom, Peter?
You could tell from the cut of his clothes. And he wore an old Etonian tie. He was no groom.
And you met him again coming back?
Yes. Yes, he was going at a quick trot, but he still looked at us very closely. He must have made a circuit to the lodge farm and taken the track through the wood.
Well, that's only possible if one knows the country. What did he look like?
Small, dark moustache, reddish cheeks, and front teeth standing out. Does he sound like anyone you know, Father?
No, I can't say he does. You're sure he was interested in you and not Morag?
Positive. It was Mr. Haraldsen he was interested in, no doubt about it.
Well, keep your eyes wide open, Peter. Don't alarm Mr. Haraldsen. Say nothing more to him of this.
Right.
But stick to him like a limpet. And when you're not with him, tell him to keep out of sight. It was, I think, 3 days later that Sandy Clanroyden came to visit us again. He wired that he wanted exercise, and so I met him at a distant railway station, sent his kit back in the car, and walked with him the 15 miles back home. We had a fine walk through the blue June weather, drank good ale at the little pubs, and talked over the Haraldsen matter, pleasantly unaware of goings-on back at Foss.
It's been such fun, Mary. Haven't met for such ages.
It's good of you to come all this way, Claire. Must be 30 miles.
Oh, I'm glad Frankie suggested it. Such a jolly drive over the downs. Frankie was able to let the Bugatti rip. It's fairly racing along.
You're a good driver, Mr. Varrinder.
Oh, I don't know about me, Lady Hannay, but the old bastard very well. Took the hills like a bird, eh, Miss Ludlow?
It has been a perfect afternoon. And then to see your enchanting house, Lady Hannay. I am in love with it.
How kind of you, Miss Ludlow. You don't think your French gentleman has been bored, do you, Claire? He seems to have disappeared.
And Pierre, bored? The very reverse, Lady Hannay. I left him tramping the home farm with your son.
My young brother has exactly the same knack of disappearing when guests come for tea, Lady Hannay.
Young Master Hannay's been quite the host. He took us to see the horses and the badger and his falcon. And curiously enough, I saw him exercising her a couple of days ago on Sharwade Downs. He and a large man.
Oh, yes. One of the keepers.
Ah.
Oh, Frankie, will you find Monsieur Blanc? We really must collect ourselves and be on our way.
Yes, of course. Goodbye, Lady Hannay, and thank you.
Goodbye, Mr. Varrinder.
I'll meet you ladies at the cart.
I noticed some water meadows a little way off from the lodge gates, and 2 cottages nearby.
That's right. The keepers.
Ah, for the keepers.
Sorry, Pierre. You have to tear yourself away. We must be going. The ladies are getting ready.
Then I will make my goodbyes to our hostess. Goodbye, Master Hannay.
Goodbye, Monsieur Blanc.
Your parents have a fine house. You must need a lot of staff.
Oh, the usual. Cooks and maids and so on.
No, I didn't mean indoor staff. I was thinking of the grounds.
Well, there are 4 gardeners, and the chauffeur helps out a bit.
Yes, and the shoots, of course. Well, you need what, a couple of keepers?
Yes, 2. No, 3.
Was that one of them with you the other day?
Yes, Bosworth. Goodbye, Mr. Varrinder.
Yes, goodbye. Goodbye, Master Peter.
It seems a shame to talk of villains and villainy on such a perfect day. Which track do we take?
To the right. We're nearly home, Sandy. So, what have we got so far?
Troth, who operates in murky financial waters. Albinus, who's done pretty well for himself, but whose finances are a bit dicky. And this man Barrelty, a cautious fellow of dubious morals who has kept his footing on a very slippery slope. There's no doubt he's the brains in the enterprise and will get the biggest share. And old Haraldsen's fortune runs into many, many millions.
An interesting combination, but not natural criminals. Their nerves might crack.
Exactly my reasoning. There's an element missing. There's someone we know nothing about.
I think they're behaving rather suspiciously, Mr. Godstow.
In what way, Master Peter?
Well, they were here for tea, they left, and then I saw them double back and tuck away their car on the old quarry track. Quiet, Morag. Then they walked round by the water meadow, past the back of Trimble's cottage.
And you nipped in here by the side door. Well, Mr. Bosworth's just gone out. He's popped upstairs to get a notebook or something.
Well, don't say anything about this, Mr. Godstow. He's not to be alarmed, okay?
Hello, Peter. Have you called for me? Oh, hello, Morag.
No, not for you, Mr. Bosworth. Just to suggest you don't go out now.
Why not? There's some danger.
Oh, no, not danger, Mr. Bosworth. Just a precaution. Some of the guests who came to tea are behaving rather oddly. And Father said the fewer people who knew about you, the better.
Yeah, he was right. It's my enemies. They have caught up with me.
Well, we know no such thing. But you'd better wait here till I return.
Very good, Peter.
You're sure you're not mistaken, Varrinder?
I rode round here the other day. That cottage is the only place with room for him to lie up. There are no house guests, I found out.
But this big man is one of the keepers.
So they say. The boy said there were 3 keepers.
But only 2 cottages here. What about the rest of the estate? Anywhere else?
Not a keeper's cottage. I made careful notes when I rode through.
Then we watch who goes in and who goes out. And whether 3 keepers live in 2 keepers' cottages.
Father!
It's the boy.
Master Hannay, We didn't expect to see you.
Nor are you. Not on your hands and knees, anyway.
No, we came to look for something.
Can I help? What have you lost?
We thought we would find a very rare plant here.
Yes. You see, when I read through the other day, I thought I saw the dwarf orchis. Pierre's a bit of a botanist, and I wanted to show him.
I've never heard of any rare plants hereabouts. But Mother would know. She's the gardener. Why not come back and ask her?
It is kind of you, but no. We must be on our way.
Are you sure? You looked all set for a long stay.
No, really. We had forgotten the time. We must be on our way immediately. At once, Varrinder.
Nearly home, Sandy. The lodge gates are just down there.
Yes, it's been an excellent day. Dick, get down. Huh? Get down! What's up? Keep your head down, but look to the right of the gates.
2 men in rather a hurry going to a sports car. Looks like a Bugatti. Difficult to see at this distance. Well, you've got the glasses.
Yes. Dick, I think I know who the missing element is. A council of war, at once.
I can understand simple blackmail, Sandy, but why this elaborate organisation? Using a sledgehammer to crack a nut?
The possible reward, Mary, is immense. Mr. Haraldsen's father was worth many, many millions.
Millions? I knew he was wealthy.
Many, many millions, Valdemar. The attraction for the villains is easy pickings. Immense loot and no one any the wiser. Now, this Frenchman, Pierre Blanc, could you describe him?
35 or 40, elegant, beautifully dressed. There was something about his skin, the kind of colour people get from living in hot climates.
His head was an odd shape. It rose to a peak.
That's right, Peter. It's rather like a fawn.
I feared so. You remember the Grand Chaco business 2 years ago, Dick?
I do, but I thought those villains had been rounded up.
Most of them were. 1 or 2 of them escaped the net.
But I don't understand.
Well, Mr. Haraldsen, a gang of desperados terrorized South America. Blackmail and murder. They manipulated people, businesses, even set their sights at government. And the most dangerous and most ruthless of them all was a French fighter pilot, Capitaine Jacques d'Ingraville, alias Monsieur Pierre Blanc.
Jacques d'Ingraville?
Exactly.
You realize now, General, that this gang is more clever and more powerful than you thought. They have traced me here already.
Foss isn't safe, Dick. It's too open. It's only 70 miles from London, with a trunk road nearby and tourists thick on the ground all summer. You must get yourselves into sanctuary. And there's only one place that fits the bill.
And where is that, Lord Clanroyden?
Labour law. My place in Scotland. The fight must come, and I want my own ground for it. It's ideal. Not a soul can show his face in that glen without my people knowing it. Not the smallest unfamiliar thing can happen, but it's at once reported. So, Dick, I want you, Mary, Peter, and Valdemar to move there at once.
And Lombard?
No, Lombard must be kept free from suspicion as long as possible, or half his usefulness is gone. We need a London contact, and he still has a clean sheet. I suggest you all leave tomorrow, but don't travel together in one party.
But why should you throw in your lot with me, Lord Clanroyden? With General Hannay and Mr. Lombard, there was a promise to my father, but not for you.
Mr. Haraldsen, do you believe in fate?
I am a man of the north, a Viking. How could it be otherwise?
Well, fate made me your father's legatee. The jade tablet was put into my hands for a purpose. And also I have to settle affairs with Capitaine Jacques d'Ingraville.
There were times on that journey north to Scotland when I told myself it wasn't true. It wasn't conceivable that events of 25 years ago had seized me by the scruff of the neck and pitchforked me into a desperate game of hide-and-seek with a gang of ruthless villains. 25 years ago, Lombard and I had fought alongside the old prospector, Marius Haraldsen, and sworn an oath of eternal friendship with him. His son, Valdemar, now came like a ghost out of the past to seek our help. driven out from his beloved island of Sheep, pursued by villains who were after his father's immense fortune. And by a strange quirk of fate, my old friend Sandy Clanroyden had chanced upon a jade tablet, which contained the clue to old Haraldsen's last and richest treasure. The gang had moved fast, led now by a dangerous and mysterious French aristocrat. My house was too open to keep the enemy at bay, and we were forced to flee to Leverlaw, Sandy's place in Scotland. It is Midsummer Day, isn't it, Mary?
Yes, of course, Dick.
Yeah. For a moment I thought it was All Fool's Day.
Why?
Well, Sandy's written a letter to the Times, telling them about the finding of the jade tablet. Yeah.
Marius Haraldsen. Most successful, great dreams, treasure before his death. Made good on biggest scale. Jade tablet in my possession.
Yeah, in my possession. Nothing like telling the world all about it.
He had found his treasure.
Signed, Clanroyden.
Oh.
He tells us to come to Leverlaw for safety, then draws attention to himself.
Oh, perhaps this letter of his will explain. It's just arrived.
Hmm. Ah, yes. Letter intended for the gang's benefit. Put myself in the centre of the hunt, draw off the hounds.
Does he say when he's coming back up here?
Not for a while yet. Oh, there's a postscript. Haraldsen is the key to the whole business. He is our Achilles' heel, and we must guard him like a child. He is your responsibility, Dick. The days at Leverlaw passed in delightful ease. We walked and rode over the border hills and picnicked by distant waters. The place was so perfect, like a dream of all that is habitable and gracious, but was also as tonic as mid-ocean and as lonely as the African veldt. We were all lapped in peace, but the most remarkable case was Haraldsen, who lost his hunted look and no longer started at sudden sounds. But it was not only ease he was gaining. Leverlaw was so completely a home that this homeless man began to think of his own. The island of Sheep had returned to his mind, and I could see a longing in his eyes that was more than a mere craving for safety.
That is better.
And now you've drunk from the cold, clear waters of the Laver.
Ah, yes. Thank you for taking me over the country, General. I realize why Lord Clanroyden said we should be safe here. All this land is his.
Yes. And all the people here are his tenants. Everything here has its appointed time and day. The baker's cart, the butcher's cart, the postman. Any stranger would be noted and talked about. Not a sheep appears on the hills without being reported. You are completely secure.
What I don't understand is that I read in the Scotsman newspaper that Lord Clanroyden is here and will remain for the rest of the summer. One day is at a Highland show and another at a wedding in Peebles, is it? But we have not seen him.
It's a false trail to confuse the enemy. Lord Clanroyden is still in London.
I see.
There. If you've got your breath, we shall be going back. Oh, good afternoon, Nixon. Which flog is that?
Good afternoon, General. Sir, it's the dry green. I'm just a wady parrot for Jamie Scott. Will we be seeing you aboard at the Clipping?
Indeed you will. We're all coming. We want to show Mr. Bosworth.
Ah, well, it'll be a busy day. Well, good evening, gentlemen. Up by, Skip.
It is paradise, but there is one thing wanting.
What is that?
The sea.
The next day, the day of the sheep clipping, the two hill hersals were brought down to the valley and penned in great folds beside the stream. It was very hot, and the air was thick with the reek of sheep. We watched the shearing throughout the morning, ate our luncheon, then Haraldsen, Mary, and I went home. But we left Peter behind. He'd decided to become a sheep farmer, and was already deep in the confidence of the herdsmen.
Now, do you mark, Master Peter, the way Tom takes the fleece ever so canny, so as not to cut the beast?
Yes, I do. Mr. Nixon, that's Mr. Little the auctioneer over there, isn't it?
Aye, Master Peter, that's Little. He always comes to the clipping. He's a good knowledge of the black-faced sheep.
Who's that with him?
Oh, that's another man to talk to if you want to farm sheep. That's Mr. Harkis, an authority in Cheviot.
He's not a local man.
No, he's from Dumfries way. Well, Little says he's a rising dealer we'll hear more of. He's on holiday the whiles, just taking a look at the Laverlaw flocks. Well, he'll maybe want to buy afore they're sent to market.
I see he's cornered Geordie Hamilton now.
You would have a big party at the Labour Water just now, Mr. Hamilton?
Just personal friends of Lord Clanroyden.
Here's a clever man, and an awfully good landlord, I hear. A little.
The laird will not be wanting people to sing his praises, Mr. Harkis.
Aye, but a good man, whose word is his bond, and takes an interest in his estate. He was here today, of course.
No. A most important matter needed his attention. But her ladyship and the general came for him.
I am sure it would be urgent to keep him away from such a day. He is still at the Lever.
Aye.
You said the general. Who would that be now?
Sir Richard Hannay. You would have heard of him.
Would that be Sir Richard Hannay from the war? Aye, man, I have. And is he here?
And his lady, and his son. Geordie Hamilton was his partner.
Never.
Aye, from 1915 to the end of the war.
Well. And Sir Richard's boy is here as well. I'd like to have a crack with the lad.
Well, Geordie will introduce you.
Just the two families. That must be pleasant, Master Hannay.
It is, Mr. Harkis. Lord Clanroyden has the occasional guest, of course.
Oh, aye, of course. And has he now?
Yes. Someone from the Foreign Office.
Affairs of State. And would you fancy the Foreign Office when you leave school?
No, never. I'm going to be a sheep farmer.
Oh.
Then you've come to the right men, Harkis? Me for the black-faced and you for the Cheviot.
Aye.
Aye, well, we must be away now. Good day, Master Hannay.
Aye, good day, Master Hannay.
Good day, Hamilton.
I see you later, Hamilton.
We'll just find Stoddart and be on our way.
What's that? Mr. Harkis is a bit too curious, Geordie.
Aye. He would spear the inside out of a whelp. I ken another thing, too. He was surprised to hear that the general was in the house. But he knew who you were, right enough.
It showed he knew about us. We'd better have a word with Mr. Nixon. He lives nearest to the village.
I'm away into the pen to relieve Willie Hogg this minute.
One question, Mr. Nixon, that's all. Has Mr. Harkis been in the village before today?
Aye. He's been staying for the past, 2-3 days. He's been to a lot of the farms. He bought the short-horn bull at Windyways that took second prize at the show.
Where has he been staying?
With Miss Newbiggin, at the post office.
You'll take a cup of tea with me, Mr. Hamilton. It's just infusing.
I'll be glad to, Miss Newbiggin.
And has it been a good clipping today?
The best in years. I was saying the same to that friend of Mr. Little's, Mr. Harkis.
Now, there's a right man, Mr. Hamilton. He gaed off today with Mr. Little. Mere's the pity.
He's not from these parts, is he, Mr. Harkis?
Oh, no. He's Galloway born and bred. But he's a fine, couthy, cracky body for all that.
He bought the short-horn bull, I hear.
Aye. He wants to get in touch with the farmers in these parts. He was always rhyming about them being the pick of the borders. He'll be bringing trade into the parish. Here we are now. Help yourself.
Thank you. He would have been curious about labour law. Who's at the big house and all.
He asked whether his lordship was at the house. Mr. Harkis knows a deal about his lordship. Has a very high opinion of him. I told him that I hadn't clapped eyes on his lordship for months. But that was nothing new, for the laird comes and goes like a bog blitter.
He would be curious about the other guests as well.
No, he was not. He did not ask about them at all.
Are you certain, Miss Newbigin?
I am certain. Well, of course, he might have read the names of the guests on the letters.
How's that?
Oh, he was a useful man about the house. He helped me sort out the mail every day.
The mail coming in or the mail going out?
Both. He'd make me laugh about the incoming. Here's one to Sandhope from the bank, he would say. That'll be about the overdraft for the beasts he bought at Kelso. And here is a bundle for her ladyship. Oh, it's bigger than I get myself after the back-end sales. But, he says, I see there's two ladyships, Lady Clanroyden and Lady Hannay. Oh, there's a wealth of rank new up at Leverwater. Oh, he made me laugh.
And I expect he made jokes about the letters going out as well?
No, not jokes. But he did make a point of looking at the outgoing. I told him it was all sorted at Leverkirk, but he would set them out as if he were playing at the cards. That's for Embro, he would say, and that's for the West Country, and that heaps for England. He was awful interested in the English letters.
Oh, aye, was he?
Trading as he did in Carlisle.
Oh, aye. So that's the story, General. You did tell me, sir, to let nothing go by me, however small. And there's just a chance that there's mischief here.
Yes, yes.
Harkis doesn't ken who's writing to the folk in this house, but he kens who the folk in this house are writing to.
Thank you, Geordie. That was well observed. Do you know where Master Peter is now, by any chance?
Aye. Him and Mr. Bosworth are going to the Park Lake to dap for trout.
It was nearly 11 o'clock before they returned. And when I called to him, Haraldsen was laughing like a carefree boy at the figure Peter cut in Sandy's short waders. It struck me that it was just in this recovered confidence that our danger lay. We were safe in sanctuary, but there was one sheep outside the fold. Haraldsen's daughter, Anna. He'd often told me about her. She was at a boarding school in Northamptonshire, under the name of Smith. Haraldsen had not seen her for nearly a year. One of the mistresses to whom she was attached looked after her during the holidays. He himself had never been within 20 miles of the school, and had always been careful about letters, writing to her not direct, but through his bank. After Peter had gone off to bed, I turned the conversation to the girl, being careful not to alarm him. Valdemar, he probably forgot to mention it amid all the excitement of today, but Peter wants to write to your daughter to tell her about Levelov.
Yes, that would interest her. Why, I have done so myself, of course, but he sees with the eyes of her own age.
How would he go about it?
There is a choice of 3 banks. They all have their instructions.
It seems a roundabout way, but I dare say you're wise. Do you stick to it rigidly?
Oh, yes. It's better so. You never know. Well, to be quite honest, I have broken the rule once, and I don't intend to break it again. That was last Monday. Anna's 13th birthday was yesterday, and I made a mistake about the dates. I've been so busy here, I've grown careless. I couldn't bear to think that she would have no message from me on that day, so I did write direct to her at Broughton Ashes. I don't think that any harm was done. This place is far away from everybody.
Oh, that's all right. You needn't worry about that. All the same, I think you're wise to stick to your rule. Now for bed. Oh, Lord, it's nearly midnight.
Yeah, late enough after such a full day. Well, good night, General. Lady Hannay. Good night.
Good night. Aren't you coming up, Dick?
Not yet, Mary.
No.
Mary, I need to think.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that Haraldsen has written to his daughter at her school address. It's infernally bad luck that Haraldsen should have been so indiscreet just at the time this man Harkers was in the neighbourhood.
Oh, he'd make nothing of a letter addressed to Miss Anna Smith at a country address in England. It couldn't be more innocuous.
Mary, I've never made the mistake of underrating the intelligence of the opposition. Oh, you might as well go on up. I must write a letter to Sandy, setting out the facts and my doubts and leaving him to decide whether any steps need be taken to safeguard the girl. This may be where Lombard comes in.
But a letter will take a couple of days to reach him.
And I will cover it with a telegram, in cipher.
That'll still take time, and be dangerous.
Not my way. I'm sending Geordie Hamilton to Labourkirk.
But that's 20 miles away.
It's also on the direct line south, and safe. Sandy will know of events first thing tomorrow.
Lombard, from Hannay's telegram, it seems 2 to 1 that the other side has got hold of the address of Anna Haraldsen's school. They will act at once, and so must we, if it's not already too late. I'm pretty closely marked down here. Had to come in the back way. You're still free from suspicion. Well, are you on?
Most certainly. Actually, I was beginning to feel left out. That I hadn't pulled my weight in this business.
Good. You must go to her school and fetch her back to town. She can stay with a great aunt of mine until I can make other plans. This is a note to the headmistress. I've written that I am Haraldsen's, that is to say, Smith's, greatest friend, and have authority to bring Anna to London in connection with some family business. She's pretty certain to know my name, and your appearance is a warrant of respectability.
What then?
Bring her straight to Sussex Square. This number. If there's any difficulty, wire at once. What car have you?
A Bentley, 3.5. Now, where is the school, and what is its name?
Bruton Ashes in Northamptonshire. The headmistress's name is Miss Barlock.
Please sit down, Mr. Lombard. I'm sorry to have kept you. Now, what can I do for you? Have you come to inquire about placing a girl here?
Unfortunately, we have no children, Miss Barlock. But if we had, I would look no further than your school.
How kind of you.
No, I'm no more than a messenger. I'm an old friend of Anna Smith's father, and I've dropped in to give her a message.
Oh, it never rains, but it pours. Dear Anna does not often have visits from friends. Her poor father, of course, has not been down for months. But this morning, who should appear but Anna's cousins? They and Anna must have passed you as you waited outside. They brought a letter from Mr. Smith, who asked me to allow them to take Anna away a week before holidays begin. They propose, I think, a visit to the northern capitals. I readily consented. The child has been rather wilting in this hot weather.
Her cousins?
Lady Bledsoe and her son. The young baronet.
Oh, of course.
They proposed to give Anna luncheon in the Bruton Arms at 1 o'clock, and then to leave for London.
I was hoping to give Anna luncheon myself, but since she's already engaged to her cousins, might we have a short walk in the park together? I would like to see her, and I have a message to her from her father, which I promised to deliver.
I can see no objection to that. You have driven a long way. I will have you meet Miss Margerson. She is Anna's chief friend amongst the staff.
She's the mistress who has special charge of Anna?
She is. They have been on holidays abroad twice now, I believe. Fortunately, they get on well together. Yes? Ah, Miss Margerson, the very person. Come in. I was just speaking of you to Mr. Lombard.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Lombard is an old friend of Anna Smith's father. How is her packing going?
I came to tell you it'll be completed in an hour.
Very good, Miss Margerson. A car will come for her at 1:45 to take her down to the Bruton Arms, where she will join her cousins. Meantime, will you arrange that Mr. Lombard has a short walk with Anna in the garden?
Now, Miss Barlock?
Yes, now. It cannot be long, I fear, Mr. Lombard, for Anna will no doubt wish to say goodbye to her mistresses and her friends.
Miss Margerson took me downstairs and into a pretty terraced garden at the back of the house, while she went off to find Anna. Thank God I hadn't sent up Clanroyden's note with my card, or the fat would have been in the fire. Some instinct had made me go canny. The other side had wasted no time and had got in first. I had seen the cousins leaving, as I waited outside Miss Barlock's study. A young man in a grey flannel suit with an old Etonian tie, a pleasant, toothy chap with a high colour, and a woman in a brown linen costume and big specs, The very models of country cousins. I couldn't discredit them. They obviously had a skilfully forged letter, purporting to come from Haraldsen himself. My one hope lay with Anna herself. She was a tall child for 13, rather plain and drab, I thought, ridiculously blonde, almost bleached, and sea-green eyes, but an uncommon, sensible little face. The sight of her gave me a gleam of hope, and I plunged at once into my story. Anna, my dear, my name is Lombard. We've never met before, but when I was young, I knew your grandfather in South Africa.
When he was a prospector?
That's right. We met at a place called Mafudi's Kraal, and he made me, and another man whose name is General Hannay, promise to stand by your father if trouble came. Your father is in great danger.
Great danger?
Oh, yes, Miss Margason, and has been for a long time.
Oh, he hasn't come to any harm?
No, he's safe. But the danger is worse than ever. That's why he hasn't been to see you for so long. That's why you're called Smith here when your real name is Haraldsen. Now you're in danger.
Oh.
These people who came this morning and say they're your cousins are humbugs. They came from your father's enemies, and they want to get you into their power. Your friends discovered the danger and sent me to bring you away. I'm only just in time. Will you trust me and do what I ask you?
What a lark, Maggie.
What a ridiculous story. Oh, say it's nonsense, Anna. Your name is Smith.
No, it isn't. It's Haraldsen.
But you know nothing about this man. You never saw him before. Your cousins had a letter from your father, and Miss Barlock, who is very shrewd, saw nothing wrong with it. They looked most respectable people.
I didn't like them much. And I never heard of any English cousins.
The letter from Anna's father was a fake, Miss Margason.
But, Anna, you have never heard of this man. How do you know he's speaking the truth? Do you expect me to believe this melodrama, Mr. Lombard? You look honest, but you may be half-witted. What's your profession?
It's not one for a half-wit, Miss Margason. I'm a merchant banker. Hayes and Menteith, Threadneedle Street. And you are not any the wiser, I fancy.
No, more than you'd think, Mr. Lombard. My second cousin happens to work for that firm, Philip Grenville.
Grenville? Grenville. Been with us about 3 years. Works on our foreign desk, mostly dealing with Zurich.
Yes?
He's a promising young man. Rode for his school at Henley. Just missed his blue.
Oh, yes. Oh, but what do you propose to do with Anna?
Take her straight to her father in Scotland. If we start at once, I can get her there before midnight. Anna, I can tell you something that must persuade you. You had a letter from your father on your birthday 3 days ago, and it didn't come from London enclosed in a blank envelope. It came from Scotland.
Yes, it came from Scotland. He didn't put any address on it, but it had a Scottish postmark.
Well, it was that letter of your father's that gave his enemies the clue. One of them spotted the address in a post office. Now, doesn't that prove I'm telling the truth?
I don't know what to think. I can't take any responsibility.
You needn't, Margie, dear. I'm going with Mr. Lombard. I believe in him. I'm going to Scotland, to my father.
But her things are not packed if she can't leave.
We can send for them and write explaining everything to Miss Barlock. You must keep out of the business altogether.
Oh.
The last you saw of Anna and me was in the garden, and you know nothing of our future movements. But would you do me a great kindness? Send this wire to Lord Clanroyden. You've heard of him. He's one of our Anna's friends. I want him to know that we have gone to Scotland.
Very good. Goodbye, Anna.
Goodbye, Margie, dear.
Write to me soon, for I shall be very anxious. Take great care of her, Mr. Lombard.
I will, Miss Margason. I will. Now for the road, Anna. My car is at the front door. I'll pick you up in the main avenue, out of sight of the house. Can you get there without being seen?
Oh, yes.
And bring some sort of coat. It'll be chilly before we get to Labour Law. Well, fast as you can. I picked up Anna at the avenue, all right, and we swung out of the lodge gates. It was 12:15. Then I saw something I didn't much like. Just outside the gates, a car was drawn up. A very powerful car, of foreign make, coloured yellow and black. It looked to me like a Stutz. The only occupant was a chauffeur in uniform who glanced sharply at me and for a moment seemed about to challenge us. He did not look like an ordinary chauffeur. That was the start of our journey. My plan was to get to the Great North Road as soon as possible, and then to let the Bentley rip on the best highway in England. I was keen to get to labour law that night. This young Lochinvar business was rather out of my usual line, and I wanted to get it over. We reached Stamford without mishap. There was no sign of a black and yellow car, and after a little I forgot about it. Lunch was our next problem, so we stopped at a little place just outside Newark, ate, filled the petrol tank, and bought some biscuits and chocolate for the rest of the journey. Just as we were starting off again, I looked back up the road. There could be no mistake. It was the Stutz.
There they are.
How far ahead, Varrinder?
About half a mile. Just turn onto the road.
You're sure it's the Bentley?
I've got the glasses on it, Pierre. There can't be two girls of that age with that colour hair.
I wonder what they'll do. Run for it or put up for the night?
My guess is they'll run for it, Lydia. All the way to labour law. That's what I'd do if I had the girl.
I think you're right, Varrinder. If they keep going north at Bawtry, we can be sure of it. This is where we gain ground.
What the...
Mr. Lombard! That was a near thing.
Some of these people driving farm carts ought to be shot, Anna. You remember that car we saw at the school gates?
Huh?
The black and yellow thing? I've a notion it's behind us. You might keep an eye on it. I want both of mine for this old bus.
Oh, are we being chased? What fun. Let me have a look. No, it's not. Yes, I can see it. What's the next town?
Bawtry. And here comes the rain.
Come on, come on! Espèce d'imbécile! Cycling in the middle of the road. At last. Well, one thing we're certain of, he's not the police. So, he must be one of them.
But who? I thought we knew them all. Are you sure, Pierre? You only saw him for a moment as he drove out of the school grounds.
It's long enough, Lydia. He's a friend of Haraldsen's we didn't know about. I wonder how many more there are.
You'll soon find out. This car has the legs of theirs. Why not catch them, Pierre? You've had the chance for the last few miles.
Tell him, Lydia.
We don't want to take them in a built-up area, Frankie. We don't want a fight with people about. We'll wait until they get into open country.
More roadworks. There's been nothing but patches of single track for miles.
Why don't you sit back, Varrinder, and leave the driving to me?
They're very close now. I can see the chauffeur quite clearly.
Oh?
He's definitely the one who was outside the school. Good. We're off again. What's the time?
4:30.
Is that good?
No, it's slow progress. And with rain like this, we won't get to labour law until very late.
The next village we come to, Pierre, has a broad main street. You can pass them there.
Why now, Lydia?
Because, Frankie, there are several roads to the border just up ahead. If we pass them and wait, they can't escape by branching off.
Very good, Lydia. Right, mes amis. Here we go.
Pierre, a van on the right.
I see him, you fool.
Watch out! Missed him. Well done, Pierre.
Shut up, Varrinder.
Are you still doing 80, Mr. Lombard? It feels like it.
Yes, well, very nearly. They saw us take this side road. I thought we'd given them the slip. 2 more minutes. That's all I wanted. They might not have known about this road. If only that van had done its job properly. Still, it's stopped raining.
You're still keeping ahead of them?
I know this stretch of road. The next half hour was a wild race. I broke every rule of decent driving, but I managed to keep a mile ahead. Beyond Consett, the dark fell, and I reflected uneasily that we were now getting into a desolate moorland patch, which would last till we dropped down into the Tyne Valley. I could see the great headlights of the Stutz behind, and I was certain that when it saw its chance, it would accelerate and overhaul us. I realized desperately that in the next 10 minutes I must find some refuge or be done in. Just then we came to a big hill, which shut off any view of us from behind. I saw a bright light in front, and a big car turned out from a farm track and took our road a little ahead of us. That seemed to give me a chance. I slowed the car, switched off the lights, and turned into the track until we were in the lee of some firs. We had scarcely stopped when I saw the glow of the Stutz's lights over the crest, and it went roaring down the hill 50 yards away.
Phew, they are moving. Where's the chocolate, Mr. Lombard? We've had no tea, and I'm very hungry.
On the back seat, I think.
Oh.
Will you pass me the maps and the torch? Yeah, thank you.
Would you like some?
Not yet, Anna. You eat what you want. Yes, yes.
What is it, Mr. Lombard? Do you have a plan?
Not much of a plan, but the best we can do.
What about them? When they find out it's not our car they're following.
They'll come back to see which side road we've taken. Now, we're about here, you see.
Mm.
And there are several roads here, here. Meantime, we'll follow this red line. It means some sort of road anyway. And it leads to the Tyne Valley. The first part of that road was vile, but after a little it was possible to increase the speed, and though I had often to stop and examine the map, in half an hour we had covered 12 miles. We were in a lonely bit of country, with little sign of habitation, and we passed through many plantations of young firs. Here I thought was a place to get a little sleep, for Anna was nodding with drowsiness, and I was feeling pretty well done in. So we halted, and I made a bed for Anna with the car rugs. We both had some biscuits and chocolate, but the child went to sleep with a mouthful, snuggled against my side, and I wasn't long in following. I woke about 4 and roused Anna. The sleep had done us good, and I was feeling pretty confident that we had puzzled the Stutz. It must have spent a restless night if it had been prospecting the farm roads of North Durham. My plan was now to make straight for Leverlaw and trust to luck. We weren't long in getting to the Tyne Valley near Hexham. But Anna began to look chilly, and I decided that she must have breakfast.
I don't know about you two, but I could do with a rest.
We all need to stretch our legs. Oh. The air's fresh.
I hope it will sharpen our wits. Frankie?
Yes?
Any cigars left?
Yes, Pierre. Here are. This is the 4th road we've tried. They've given us the slip, all right. We could spend hours at this game.
And it would be pointless.
I wonder how that head mistress got on to us. I'm certain she believed we were the Bletzos.
This man, whoever he is, convinced her otherwise. You don't think he's Lord Clanroyden, do you, Lydia?
Not from Pierre's description.
Well, you see, there are several more by-roads. We have no certainty of taking the one they have. And if we lose our way in them, we will make very poor speed. By the same token, so will they. But we still have the advantage.
How?
We know their destination. It will take them hours to get clear of these moorland roads. Driver will need to rest sometime.
So, we give up these side roads, get onto the main road.
And go hell for leather north. They'll cross the border at Carter.
How can you be sure of that?
Look at the map. They are going to Leverlaw. Here. Where do they cross? They are in a hurry. Not on a conducted tour of the lowlands.
Yes, very well, Pierre.
So, we have a rest, and then go flat out, and wait for them at Carter.
That is the map marked for you. It'll be hard and it'll be slow, but it'll take you across the border.
Thank you, Mr. Percy.
If we go round to the front of the house before you leave, I can point out the first part of the route.
That would be helpful. I can't thank you and your wife enough for taking us in and feeding us. I was particularly worried about the girl.
She looked done in. Children need their food. Now you... Oh, look there. That's fancy. What make would that be?
A Stutz. It's foreign.
Is that so? Well, it's fairly travelling. Not like you will be.
No.
I guessed what the Stutz was up to. Watching the road junctions for the north. Most probably where the road up the North Tyne forked from the main highway over the Cheviots by the Carter Bar. I said nothing about the Stutz to Anna, and armed with Mr. Percy's advice about the upper glens of the Tyne, we started again on one of the old drove roads. All morning we threaded our way in the rain over what must be the worst roads in Britain. Anna must have opened 50 gates, and there were times when I thought we were bogged for good. It was a tricky business, but I was beginning to enjoy myself. When at last we hit the main road up the Tyne to Liddesdale, I didn't take any risks, but headed down Liddle to Langham, and up the Esk to Eskdalemuir, and so into Ettrick.
Pierre, how much longer do we stay here?
Until they come into view.
Well, that might never be. It's midday already.
And they might not get here until night time. As I told you once before, Frankie, you need patience in these matters.
Well, that time I seem to remember we were flushed out of cover by a schoolboy. This time we'll be given the slip by a schoolgirl.
Aided by the unknown Mr. X.
Varrinder, you give up too easily.
Since sending the telegram to Sandy on the evening of the sheep clipping, I'd spent the time fishing with Peter. It put everything else out of my mind, a trick fishing always has with me. As we tramped home one evening over the dusky, sweet-scented moors, I had no thought except a bath and dinner. But as we approached the house, I was suddenly recalled to my senses. Before the door stood a big and very dirty car. A man in a muddy raincoat was helping another figure to alight. It looked like a girl. And then suddenly there was a sound from the house, and from it Haraldsen emerged, shouting like a lunatic. He plucked the girl from the car and stood hugging and kissing her. Lombard was now very unlike the spruce city magnate with whom I had been lately connected. He looked tired and dirty, but content, and somehow younger, more like the Lombard I remembered in Africa. As for Haraldsen, he went on behaving like a maniac, holding his daughter as if any moment she might disappear. I provided Lombard with a suit of flannels, and we ate an enormous late supper. He had a couple of glasses of Sandy's famous port, and when we adjourned to the smoking-room, where a peat fire was burning, he stacked himself in an armchair with an air of great content. "First score for our side," he said.
We might as well admit it. We've lost them. They're safely in Leverlaw by now, and no one can get near that place without Clanroyden knowing about it.
But no one can leave without our being told. Harcus established good sources of information.
But why should they come out?
They can't stay forever.
Hannay belongs in the south. So does this other driver, I should think.
More important, Haraldsen is reunited with his daughter. With safety will come nostalgia for their own home.
Pierre, they have eluded us 3 times. At Foss, at the school, and now here. Now why not at Leverlaw too?
I do not wish to prevent them leaving Leverlaw, only to know when.
Why?
This is a law-abiding country, Varrinder. Our hands are tied. But on the island of Sheep, a Danish patrol vessel that calls nearby, how often? Every 6 weeks. Otherwise, they are defenseless.
The coming of Haraldsen's daughter completed his recovery. He lost his hunted look. His voice gained in confidence. He held himself and walked like a free man. He was a combatant now, instead of a piece of baggage. He and Anna had long, serious talks together, and I felt he might soon take a hand in shaping his own destiny. And still Leverlaw continued to lay its spell on us. Even sandy Clanroyden's absence was not much of a drawback, for his way was the wind's way, and at any time he might appear out of the void. One afternoon we all attended the wedding of young Nixon to the daughter of Taras, the old shepherd of Clatteringshaws. After the ceremony and high tea, the ladies left for home, but Haraldsen, Lombard, Peter and I wanted exercise, and elected to walk back. Before starting off, we joined the old shepherds, smoking their pipes and talking their slow talk in the cool, mellow-scented dusk. The only sounds were the drift of quiet human speech, the tinkle of the burn, the calling of wild birds, and the drowsy bleat of an old ewe. We seemed to have struck something as changeless as the hills. The dogs were mostly congregated around Taras's back door, and I was just enjoying my second pipe when the father and mother of a dog-fight began.
What is happening, Peter?
Come on, Yarrow! Show them, old boy! It's old Yarrow. Every other dog in the place has gone for him. There he is, in the corner of the cottage in the shed.
He's a strategist, that one, Valdemar. Flanks and rear protected.
He's not a young dog.
Yarrow? Oh, he's about 12.
His teeth will be blunt.
Well done, Yarrow. Gave that one what for all the same.
But they'll wear him down. Look at his ear. Oughtn't we...
That's the way, Yarrow boy. Hold him off.
It looked as if in minutes the poor old beast would be dead. But suddenly Yarrow changed his plan, and the fight was transformed. He attacked. With lips snarling back over his gums, he charged his enemies. He didn't snap. He simply hurled his weight on them, using every part of himself as a weapon. Far more important, he let them see that he was out for blood. He didn't want to save his hide now, but rend theirs. There was a cloud of dust and fur, and then the whole mob streamed into flight. I wanted to laugh, for it was one of the best finishes I'd ever seen. But then I caught a glimpse of Haraldsen's face, and gripped his arm. I thought he was going to faint. He was as white as paper, and shaking like a leaf.
It is a message to me. That dog is like Sandra, who died with Gunnar of Leithend. He reminds me of what I have forgotten. I have forgotten my race. I have seen the folly of cowardice. I will no longer be passive and try to elude my enemies. I will seek them out and fight them like Summer, the hound.
Valdemar, I think we'd better get you home.
It is the will of God.
Hello there!
I will not hide from my fate, nor run from it.
Sandy! How on earth did you get here?
I came by aeroplane. Hello, Lombard. Hello, young Peter.
Clanroyden.
Haraldsen. Archie Royland's dropped me at Christone. That's only 5 miles off. I was just in time to kiss Jean Taras and drink her health. You were saying, Haraldsen, when I interrupted you.
I was saying that I have made up my mind. I will skulk no longer in other men's houses. I will go home to my own land and fight my enemies. Alone, if need be. You have all been true friends to me, but no friends can take from me the burden of my own duties.
A sound conclusion. It's one I've been coming to myself.
You have?
Yes. I've come up here to talk about it. Now, let's push on to dinner. Leverlaw air has given me the first appetite I've had for weeks.
Splendid idea.
That night after dinner we held a council of war, at which we all agreed that Peter should be present. That was a comfort to him, for since Anna's coming, he'd been rather left out of things. Sandy, as was his habit at Levalor, wore the faded green jacket of a border dining club. But it didn't make him look, as it usually did, a Scots laird snug among his possessions. His face had got that special fining down, which I so well remembered, and his eyes that odd dancing light, which meant that he was on the war-path again. We'd heard nothing of him for weeks, so I had a good many questions to ask.
What have I been doing? Going to and fro on the earth, trying to get a line on various gentry. My old passion for queer company has stood me in good stead, but we're up against a formidable lot, no mistake about that.
More formidable than you thought?
Yes, but in a different way.
What was your method?
Have you been up to your old tricks? Perhaps you don't know, Lombard, but Sandy is one of the best quick-change artists in the world.
Well, I've had some fun in the business, but we'd better be clear about one thing. They know all about us.
Well, what's the news now?
Patience, Dick. We'll go through them. First, Varrinder, the youth with the rabbit teeth. You can count him out, for he'll worry us no more. I've scared him off. Now we get to bigger business. Mr. Lancelot Troth. I've come to a clear decision about Mr. Troth. He's a ruffian, but I don't think he's altogether a rogue. One piece of luck I had. There was bound to be a woman somewhere, and I scraped up acquaintance with Troth's particular friend. She's a lovely creature, a red-haired Jewess who just missed coming off as a film star. She calls herself Lydia Ludlow.
She came to tea at Foss. Mother said she was an actress.
I really think Peter should be in bed, Dick, don't you?
It's all right, Sandy.
Well, I won't enlarge upon Miss Ludlow, except to say that she was hard to get to know. I was an American film magnate, very well made up, and I don't think she would recognize me again.
Well, what's your conclusion? They don't appear very fearful stuff.
I've scared Varrinder, and in spite of Miss Ludlow, I think I could scare Troth. Only, you see, that's impossible now. Another figure has appeared who puts a darker complexion on the thing. Before, it wasn't much more than melodrama, but now the tragic actor is on the boards. Jacques d'Ingreville.
Jacques d'Ingreville, alias Monsieur Pierre Blanc. So you're sure of him now, Sandra?
Oh, yes, I'm sure of him.
He must have been the chauffeur who drove the struts.
He's a beast of prey, living an unnatural life on drugs. d'Ingreville is the leader now, and the rest must follow, whether they like it or not. Young rabbits in the badger's jaws. He's the real enemy. My old great-great-great-grandfather at Dettingen led his regiment into action after telling them, you see those lads on yon hill? Well, if ye dinna kill them, they'll kill you. That's what I say about d'Ingreville.
Well, so much for the layout. What do you propose to do about it?
We must fight them and choose our own ground for it. And, since they're outside civilization, we must be outside it too.
Outside civilization? I don't see the sense of that. This is a law-abiding country. It'll cramp their style.
Lombard, you can't bring things to a head in a law-abiding country.
But why bring things to a head?
2 reasons. Valdemar, you don't want this threat hanging over you for the rest of your life, do you?
You have heard me say so. I will seek it out and fight it.
And the other reason?
The main quarrel is now between d'Ingreville and me.
How do you mean?
3 days ago, I had a little trip across the Channel. I flew to Geneva, and there got a car and motored deep into the Savoy valleys. In the evening, I came to an ancient chateau high up on the knees of the mountains. In the twilight, I could see a white wedge poking up in the eastern sky, which I knew to be Mont Blanc. I spent the night there, and my host was Jacques d'Ingreville. There was no danger. I was perfectly certain about my man. He belongs to a family that goes back to the Crusades and has come badly down in the world. He's a scoundrel, but on a big scale, and he has some rags of gentility left.
And what happened?
Well, we had an interesting evening. I didn't try to bargain with him, but we exchanged salutes, so to speak, before battle. He has come to regard me as his eternal enemy. He challenged me, and I accepted the challenge.
Uncle Sandy, he let you go unharmed?
He saw me off next morning in a wonderful mountain dawn. It's good to be alive, he said. Au revoir. It will not be long, I hope, till we meet again. Well, I'm looking forward to that meeting, and one or other of us won't leave your island of sheep.
Our motorboat threaded its way through the many islands that comprise the Norlands, until on our port appeared a low green coast, cradled deep in the sea. The Island of Sheep. As Lombard, Peter and Geordie Hamilton gazed at its amazing greenness, as vivid as any English meadow in May, my mind ranged over the events of the past weeks. Valdemar Haraldsen had fled this island, pursued by the ruthless Jacques d'Angreville and a gang of villains who were after his father's fortune. It sought sanctuary in England and enlisted our help. But the enemy was determined and clever, and had forced us to retreat from London to Scotland. And now we'd fallen back for our last stand on the Island of Sheep. The wheel had come full circle. Haraldsen and his daughter Anna had gone on ahead of us.
Good day to you, Haraldsen.
Welcome to the Island of Sheep, General Hannay. Mr. Lombard, welcome.
Valdemar! Geordie Hamilton, you know.
Yes, of course. Come ashore, gentlemen.
Peter, I'm very glad to see you. We shall have great fun together.
Hello, Anna. Mr. Haraldsen.
Ah, Peter. You brought your falcon. Morag will have much sport here.
Thank you. Right, Geordie, I'll help you with our things.
And I'll help you both. Jacob, lend a hand.
All right.
Any news of our enemies, Valdemar?
None. We have a telephone to Jarmshaven. I have arranged to receive word of any strangers who arrive here.
And Lord Clanroyden, any news from him?
No, not yet, Mr. Lombard. No doubt he will soon telegraph. He said he would follow at once.
What men have you on the island?
There is Arne Arneson in the house, the 3 gardeners, Jacob, who brought you here in charge of the motorboat. These are all old men, I fear.
But where are all those hefty youths you promised us?
That's my mistake. I had forgotten. All the young men are away at sea, fishing for the cod and the halibut.
So our total strength, when Lord Clanroyden arrives, will be 4 reasonably active men, 2 children, and 4 or 5 ancient retainers. Not a happy prospect. You better make a reconnaissance at once. See how the island can be defended. It's going to be difficult, Valdemar.
But there is no danger in the north.
No. That coastline is too rugged and broken. But the whole of the east coast, opposite that large island, I've forgotten his name.
Halder?
Halder, thank you. That coast is wide open for a landing.
What do you think the enemy's plan is, Dick?
I've no idea, Lombard. But I still don't believe the gang will raid the island. We've only to telephone Jarmshaven to bring in help, and a wireless from there will fetch the Danish gunboat from the fishing ground.
Oh, that reminds me. This message from Lord Clanroyden was telephoned on from Jarmshaven.
Delayed but coming on. Expect me when you see me, Lombard.
No date or place given. Cryptic.
Typical of Sandy.
So, what do we do? Mr. Lombard, what do you think?
I suggest we stay for a fortnight. Treat it as a fishing holiday, but keep our eyes and ears open. If nothing has happened, we can consider you safe and return to England.
That sounds to me most generous. You have already done much for me.
Father, Oh, please, excuse me.
Yeah, come in. Anna, what is it?
I was wondering whether I could take Peter to fly his falcon. It's still light enough.
Yes, of course. I had forgotten. That would be kind of you, Anna.
Thank you, Father. Oh, I forgot. A marine biology boat is steaming up the channel.
What?
You can probably see her from the window, flying the Danish flag. See, Mr. Lombard?
My eyes aren't as keen as yours, Anna. I can see the boat, but not the flag. She's going at a great pace.
Yeah, she has a bone in her teeth, as our seamen say. How do you know she is for marine biology, Anna?
Jacob Gregerson told me. He knows all about the boats here. Her name is the Shalder.
Yes. She looks a trim little ship.
Yeah, the men of the Charter are wise. They anchor in the bay across the channel when the wind blows steady from the east. This weather will last.
Hello! Those 2 children spend more time in those kayaks than they do on land.
Anna is a creature of the sea.
She told me she was descended from the seals and had webbed feet. Oh, yes, what is it, Geordie?
It's a message, sir. Jacob Gregerson says the motorboat is out of action. There's something wrong with the engine, and he'll need outside help to repair it.
Now, that is bad.
The motorboat is our only means of transport to the outside. How did it happen? He has not had it out.
It happened in the night, he thinks. He said some fools have been monkeying about with it. Will you be coming to see it?
Oh, yes, we'd better have a look.
Yes. You two! Remember to come home in time for dinner, not at midnight.
Right, Father.
Now, let us find out the worst.
You see, sir, the sparking plug is gone and the main feed pipe cut through.
How did it happen? Have you been walking in your sleep, Jacob?
It is Hulda's folk.
Hulda's?
The trolls. They're always out to make mischief.
They must have had a metal cutting blade. That's no natural break. I'd repair it myself, but I've not got the tools here.
Lombard, yes. Will you telephone the shipyard at Yalmashaven? Have a man sent across.
Right away, Dave. I think the weather's changing.
Ran is stoking his ovens.
Who is this Ran, sir?
He is a sea god.
Oh, aye. There is a pity he's not a mechanic.
Oh, the sea's so calm. Why don't we canoe across to the Shelter? Marine biologists are nice people. Perhaps they'll ask us to tea.
I don't think we should, Anna. Not cross the channel.
Oh, why not, Peter? We'll be back long before dinner. There's no wind, and the sea's as safe as crossing a voe.
Well, it might just blow.
Oh, we won't get the chance again.
What about the currents? Isn't the mist coming down?
It's only summer darkening. It would clear before the evening. You're a landlubber, you know. I'm a sea dog. But you ought to believe me. I believe you when it's about birds. I'll give you 5 minutes start and race you.
You're on. Just let me settle Morak. He doesn't much care for this canoe lark.
There's still no reply, Dick. The line appears to be as dead as a dodo.
The trouble is probably at the other end, in Hjalmarshavn.
Yes, I expect so, Valdemar. All the same, I'd like to check the telephone line. Will you show me its course from the house?
Yes, come with me.
I'll keep on trying. The line might come back.
The line continues on these low posts, down this cleft.
Everything in order so far?
That's what I thought. It's those lazy devils at Hjalmarshavn. Now, from this little platform, it goes into that copper casing and enters the sea. We've checked it all.
Yes.
We can go back then. The fog is thickening.
Now, just a minute.
Yeah?
Something odd about that cable and the casing. If I...
Oh, my God.
Cut clean as a whistle. As clean as the petrol pipe in your motorboat. Our enemies are here, Valdemar. They've cut our communications. Back to the house and check our armory.
The whale hunts are very exciting. Beacons on the headland. All the boats making for the rendezvous. Careful, Peter. You're steering into me.
Sorry. The mist makes it difficult to hold course. How do they know where to rendezvous?
It cannot be missed. The Grind, that's the pilot whales, only come in clear weather. And the sea ways are full of people. It cannot be missed. You know how dogs herd the sheep?
Yes.
Well, the boats guide the school of whales and force the leader into a boat. Once that happens, the rest follow. I've never seen the killing, but I've heard that the waters churn with blood and boats and men with spears.
Sounds pretty beastly.
Perhaps it is. But then a lot of things are beastly, like killing pigs or using live bait. Anyway, it puts money in the pockets of our poor people and gives them food and lighting for the winter.
All the same, I'm sorry for the whales.
Oh, that's silly. You're not sorry for sea trout. Fish are just cold-blooded things, and don't feel.
Whales aren't fish. And they...
Oh, will you watch with your steering?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, look, straight ahead. The shoulder.
There's no sign of anyone.
I smell food. Tea. No, I'm always hungry. Shoulder ahoy! Ahoy! Ahoy there!
Yeah? What is it?
You're the marine biologist, aren't you? We've come to call on you from the island of Sheep across the channel.
Wait! I will see!
He didn't look like a sailor.
She's a biologist, silly. Tie up at the port ladder. I'm sure they'll let her stay.
And where did you youngsters spring from?
I'm Miss Haraldsen from the island of Sheep. And this is Peter. We're visitors. May we come aboard?
You certainly may. Tie your canoes. Oh, I see you have. Good. And come aboard.
Oh, take care, Peter.
It isn't easy to get out of these kayaks at the best of times. With a falcon as well. Right. Coming up.
Okay. Right. All right.
Thank you.
Oh, welcome aboard the Shoulder.
Thank you.
You're just in time for tea in the deckhouse.
Oh.
Better leave your bird here.
Oh, yes.
Tie her to the rail.
Right, thanks.
Now, mind how you go. The deck's absolutely cluttered. Here we are. Come along in, my dears.
Okie dokie.
Lydia, Eric.
Oh.
Hi. This is Miss Haraldsen and Peter.
How delightful.
They've come over from the island to join us for tea.
Oh, I couldn't eat another thing.
Are you sure?
Oh, really?
Nor me. I don't want to sink the kayak.
Your father has a wonderful place on the island, hasn't he? We heard about it in Yarmouthshaven. Are you two brother and sister?
No, we're not relations. This is my friend, Peter Hannay. He's English. He's staying with us.
Are you, by any chance, Sir Richard Hannay's son?
Yes.
And Sir Richard is staying with us.
Is he?
We must return your call. I did take tea with Lady Hannay at Foss, but Sir Richard was out. I've always longed to meet him. And your father, too, my dear.
Oh.
Thank you for tea. And now we should be going, or our parents will be anxious.
Oh, you can't go in this fog. Look, you can just about see to the ship's side. No further.
I've got a compass, and we can't miss the way.
We daren't risk it, dare we, Lancey? We should never be able to face your father if things went wrong.
No, they must wait until the skipper comes. Eric?
I entirely agree.
What about our canoes?
They were winched aboard during tea. Safer that way.
Yes.
Oh.
Why not take them to your cabin, Lydia?
Peter, what are you doing?
It's locked. She's locked us in.
Oh, it must have swung to by mistake. Miss Ludlow will be down in a minute anyway. Oh, isn't she beautiful, Peter? You know, these are queer people, and it's rather a grubby ship for their nice clothes, but they're kind, I think. More like yachting folk than marine biologists.
Anna, they aren't kind, and they aren't biologists. They're our enemies, your father's and my father's.
But Miss Ludlow...
Miss Ludlow brought a Frenchman, Pierre. I think he must be the one they call the skipper, and another chap called Varrinder, to our house. Remember I told you they were spying on your father? They're the people we were always on the lookout for in Scotland.
And we've let ourselves be made prisoners.
Things are brightening. This is a piece of luck for us. Now we can deal.
We all know the skipper's plan. Descend on the island, kill if necessary.
And what can we do to stop him? He has his gunmen. And there's Mattel.
The very sight of that one gives me the creeps. He's a sewer rat. He's already scared Frankie Varrinder off. Oh, How did we ever come to be involved with these monsters?
Dangreville is going to implicate us all. And we will all hang together.
But now we could make our own terms with the people on the island.
We'd have to go carefully. If Dangreville thinks we're double-crossing him, he'll shoot.
The time for double-crossing, Eric, will be if the skipper plays the fool. If he won't accept a reasonable offer from the island and goes for blood, then we play our hand, the kids.
Well, gentlemen, and Miss Ludlow, tomorrow is the day. For one kind of possession we can offer another, and a dearer.
Pierre, surely the children alter our whole plan. Now we can treat, where before we could only coerce.
I do not think so, my friend. They will not treat. Not on our terms. Oh, you want much, no doubt, but I want all, you see. And men will fight for their all.
But Haraldsen cares for his daughter above everything, and Hannay for his son.
Maybe, but Haraldsen and Hannay are not all.
Lombard doesn't count.
I do not think of Lombard. I think of Lord Clanroyden.
But Clanroyden isn't there.
Not yet, Eric, but he will be there tomorrow.
How do you know? Have you any news?
I know he will not fail me, and he will never yield.
But what do you mean to do?
Fate has been good to us. If they listen to us, so much the pleasanter for everybody. If they fight, we shall fight too, and we shall win.
Win? What do you mean by win?
Everything. I shall get my will, though I leave a house in ashes and an island of dead men.
And then?
Then we disappear, leaving a riddle which no man will ever solve. Trust me, I have made my plans for you, my friends, and for you, my fair lady. Oh, you may have to face some adjustments in your lives, but what of that? Le mouvement, c'est la vie.
There's not much room in here, is there?
It is not made for comfort. Hammock, blankets, porthole. What more do you want?
Oh, poor old Maureen. She's drenched with fog and very hungry.
Your ugly bird is better in here with you. The fog is thinning. You can see the moon. Your island is straight across from here.
Yes, I see. What have you done with Anna?
She's carefully locked away. And if you have any notion of swimming to the island, put it out of your head. You know how freezing cold these waters are. You'd never manage 200 yards, let alone 2 miles. So don't go walking in your sleep.
All the same, let's see. No, he's right, Morag. Morag! Something to write with. Paper. My bird book, yeah. Oh, thank the Lord for the moon. Can at least see to... In Shaldar, which is enemy ship. Expect immediate attack. Don't worry about us. We're all right. Now, hold still, Morag, while I tie it to your leg. You're hungry, and if you don't kill soon, you'll go back to the house. There. Secure. Come along, old girl. You're our one chance.
Peter! Peter!
It's no good, General. I doubt they're on this part of the island.
Anna!
Listen.
Anna! Anna!
It's Haraldsen.
Hello! Hello, where are you, Anna?
Over here, Valdemar. It's Hannay.
Oh, it's you, General. I heard voices and thought, well, I don't know what I thought. I'm so out of my mind with worry.
Yeah, I know how you feel, Valdemar. But it does no good to be prowling round like a lost dog.
I cannot rest as long as they... I know.
Someone should be at the centre of communications, Valdemar. Go back to the house.
You mean well, Hannay, but... Oh, God, where can he be? Anna! Anna!
Miss Haraldsen! Miss Haraldsen!
What is it? Martel! Peter!
It's all right, Anna.
Shh, no noise.
What does he want?
Shh, very quiet. Do not be frightened. This boat is no place for children. Come, you must go. Your kayaks are back in the water. Follow me. Now, closely. Walk carefully. And when we get to the deck, keep in the shadows.
But how do you know the Grind are coming?
I have my ways. I also know they will rendezvous at the Store Rock.
Only a Norlander could know these things. You're a Belgian.
The Grind will rendezvous at the Store Rock. I know. Now, you must hurry. Do not go straight to the house. Go to the south, the Bird Marsh. Understand?
I understand that, but not why you are helping us.
This affair is to the death, and it is for men, not for children. Away you go. Bonne chance.
Come on, Anna.
Oh, let me sit down. I didn't think my legs would carry me back to the house. 5:30. We've been on our feet 10 hours non-stop. I've covered all the fishing locks. No sign of the children, I'm afraid.
I think I'm drained of emotion. Jakob. More coffee.
Yeah. The women cannot help with the search. To make food and drinks is little enough.
And very welcome. Any sign of Mr. Haraldsen?
He returned, but has gone out again into the garden, Mr. Lombard. There, gentlemen.
Thank you. I better go out to him, Lombard. He's been in a queer, fey mood since we arrived. But Anna's disappearance has taken the pins out of his wits altogether. In the garden, you said, Jacob?
Yeah, General. Near the trellis, at the bowling green.
I found Haraldsen looking a good deal the worse for wear. He was staring owlishly at something which was making a commotion at the top of the trellis, staring helplessly and doing nothing about it. It was a bird which had somehow got tangled in the top wires, and was flapping wildly upside down on the end of a string. It was obviously in a fair way to perish from apoplexy. I saw that it was Morag, caught by the lead. It didn't take me long to extricate her, and get savagely bitten in the process. I saw a paper round her leg, and with some difficulty unwound it. My first feeling as I read it was a deep thankfulness. At any rate, the children were still in the land of the living. But we were badly handicapped by the fact that the enemy had them as hostages. From what Sandy had told me of Dungreville, it was not likely that he would be too scrupulous in the use of them. Sandy. The memory of him was like a blow in the face. What in God's name had happened to him? Here we were, up to our necks in a row of his devising, and no word of him. I pictured him held up by an accident somewhere on the road, and frantically trying to get a message through to an island which was now wholly cut off from the world.
Yes, now swing that end around, Jacob, against the doors. Yes, good. Now we will pile some chests on top of that.
We try, Mr. Lombard.
This part looks quite formidable, Dick. It's the back of the house that's weak. Jacob, there are some old mangles out there. Use those. And the chaff cutters and anything that'll make an assault difficult.
Yeah, Mr. Lombard. Sven, Hendricks, come with me.
Keep at it, Jacob. You're doing well. This house wasn't built for defence, Lombard. It's too big and rambling. You're right.
I have to report, sir, that none of those gardeners can be trusted with a gun. They'd be more likely to blow their own heads off than do any harm to the enemy.
It's true, General. My people know little of firearms. It would be safer to use them as lookouts.
So, The fighting men are you, Valdemar, Lombard, Geordie Hamilton, and myself. We're badly outnumbered. But at least we have plenty of weapons and ammunition. We'll discuss the fire plan when the barricades are all in position.
Then I'll away and give Jacob a hand.
Valdemar, you realise that you are what really matters to Dungreville?
Of course, to get you, he must first silence us, kill us, or bribe us.
With Peter and Anna is the price.
The thought of it makes me sick at heart.
And when we refuse, they'll attack.
And they're bound to win, from sheer weight of numbers.
Unless we can keep you out of their hands. So long as you remain uncaptured, they've not won.
Yes, I understand.
Is there any secret place to hide here, known only to you? Our one chance is to prevent your capture, if we can. You won't be discovered down there, Valdemar.
Yes.
I had a good look at the hermit's cell when we first arrived. But I'd no idea this passage was below it.
It leads to a cave above the harbour.
Don't try to get out. You'll be spotted. Sit tight until the enemy have gone. Even if we're all done for, the attack will have failed if you're still at liberty. Now, do you have all you need?
Yes, thank you. Good luck, General. Mr. Lombard.
Good luck, Valdemar.
Good luck. Coming up, Dick. Help me with the trap, Dick.
You remember, Haraldsen, the one thing that matters is for you to keep yourself out of the enemy's hands.
Very well. Sprinkle a little earth, and yes, replace the bench. Yes, safely stowed. He insisted on taking his rifle. I couldn't refuse, Dick.
I think he was right. If the gang did find the passage, he'd want something to fight back with.
We could fight a sight better if Lord Clanroyden was here. What has happened to him? Do you think that gang got him?
I hope not. I doubt it. Sandy has the habit of popping up like a jack-in-the-box in the most unexpected ways and the most unexpected places.
Yes. He'd find it difficult to pop up here with all those barricades we've erected.
And we'll have to do the best we can without him. Well, back to the house, Lombard, and put the finishing touches to the defences.
That's the shutters barred, General. The house is as strong as we can make it.
Thank you, Jacob.
General, I've posted the gardeners on watch to give a shout if they spot any of the gang.
Yeah. Well, it's time we three took up our positions.
Yes.
Geordie, the pavilion at the front of the house. Challenge anyone who appears on the terrace, and don't let anyone approach the main door.
Right, General.
Mr. Lombard will command the rear. There's not much of a field of fire. It's likely to be close-quarter work. So you'll have 4 double-barrel shotguns.
That suits me. I'm not much of a hand with a rifle.
And where will you be, sir?
On the roof. I'll come down to you every hour or so. It's 11 o'clock. I'll visit you at midday.
It was the sun that woke me. It must be about midday. Oh, Lordy, I'm hungry. Let's go home.
Keep in cover, Anna. Don't go on the skyline. We were lucky not to have been caught by their motorboat. It missed us in that fog by a bee's whisker.
That's because you wouldn't do what Martel said and head south.
Well, I didn't trust him. Still don't. Mine, this bit's slippery.
Whoopsie-daisy. But the shoulder's gone. Probably round to the other side. There's nothing to worry about.
All the same, this track's very exposed. There's cover at the edge of the cliff.
You're being too cautious. Oh, I'm stiff. I'd race you, Peter.
Shh.
What?
Quiet, Anna. There's a man just ahead, watching the house.
Oh.
Sorry to pull you down like that. We're lucky he hasn't seen us.
Where is he?
By the boulder.
Oh, I see him. Peter, he's armed.
How can we get to the house? Let our fathers know they've landed.
We'd have to go round that way.
Well, if there's no option, we'll have to go very carefully and use every bit of cover we can. Come on.
There's no cover over the next section at all, Peter. We'll be seen even if we crawl. We might as well run. Get it over. You with me?
Yes. Let's go. We may be lucky.
On the cliff, by the sea. A man. 2 of them.
Keep running.
Another on the hill. And behind you.
Anna, make for the spur of the hill. How's the sight?
They'll be down here in a jiffy. We'll find cover in the bird marsh. Let's go.
No good. We'll be in view in 20 yards. Unless they think we've doubled back.
They saw us come here.
It's the wildest chance, Anna, but look, there's a flock of young pinkfoot geese coming this way.
What?
I've just remembered something my father told me. The young pinkfoot's very, very nosy, and he's not like other birds. If you show yourself, he'll move nearer to find out what sort of creature you are. Look, if I stand up and this flock moves nearer, the sentries will think the geese are moving away from us. It's only natural. You stay under cover.
Well, suppose the sentries see you as well.
Oh, we couldn't be in a worse mess than we are now. The geese have spotted me. No, don't move. Keep quiet. Oh, God. Let them come near, but don't let the sentries see me. It's worked! To the bird marsh, Anna! As fast as we can!
That was clever of you, Peter. We're safe enough here. Oh. Lordy, it's hot. There's the father and mother of a thunderstorm brewing up.
Well, let's start for the house, then. It'll be difficult getting to it, even from this side.
Oh, I don't think I can yet. I feel dreadfully sleepy. Perhaps it's the storm coming. All the energy's gone out of me. Have you ever seen so many daddy longlegs? That means the Grins are coming. Martel said they'd rendezvous at Stowe Rock.
Well, I'm not much interested in the Grins, Anna, and far more concerned with trying to get back. You stay here and have a rest. I'll go and scout the way.
All right, Peter. But come back before the storm breaks. I hate being on my own in thunder.
I brought your lunch, Geordie. Bread and cheese and beer.
Ah, that's fine, sir.
Any sign of the enemy?
I've kept my eyes skinned, but no, not a sign of anybody, sir. Apart from it being so close, I have no complaints, General.
Getting very dark in the east. I think we're in for an almighty storm.
That'll not bother me. I'm in good shelter here, sir.
Right. I'm away up to the roof. I sat down on the roof with the chimney stack as cover, a revolver in my pocket, a couple of 240 magazine rifles beside me, and my spirits as low as I ever remembered them. It was getting very dark to the east over Huldah. The channel was being floored with odd little cat's paws, and though it was still close, I had the feeling of being in a hot room next to an icebox, as if something sharp and bitter were just around the corner. And then the gloom which had been brooding over the channel burst in a ferocious storm. I would have been beaten off my perch if I had not found some shelter from the chimney stack. In a minute or two, the roof was white with hailstones, the size of sparrows' eggs. The garden, the terrace, the hillside looked deep in snow, and with the hail came a wind that cut like a knife. It must have been the better part of half an hour before the tornado passed, and I could look seaward at anything but a blinding scurry. There was the shoulder, white as a ship marooned in the Arctic ice, rocking in a sea which had suddenly become sullen and yeasty. Her starboard ladder was down, but there was no sign of boats. They must have landed. On her deck I thought I saw the flutter of a woman's dress. And then I looked at the foreground where a path from the harbour climbed onto the terrace. The pack had arrived.
Ah, Dick.
Lombard.
Any sign of them?
They've landed.
Oh, Lord.
Yes.
They're at the terrace, Dick.
Oh, I hope Geordie's kept well under cover. Here, come. Tell your men to keep careful watch.
Ja, General.
I think we're about to be busy, Lombard. Oh, he must have given his position away.
Can't we do anything?
Only stand to our own posts.
That leaves two of us. Good luck.
Anna! 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 Anna!
I felt very vulnerable upon that roof, but I found a better stance in the corner of my chimney stack and picked up one of the rifles. The next act followed fast. The terrace became suddenly populous, and the newcomers were unchallenged. D'Angreville had not underrated his opponents, for to match our miserable trio, he'd brought at least 20. They were following a prearranged plan, based on exact knowledge of the place, for some made their way to the back parts, and some to the arcade which led to the hermit's cell. But more waited at the foot of the steps, which led to the main door. They were grouped in two bodies, with an alley between them, and seemed to be waiting for somebody. Who that was soon appeared. Up the alley came 3 men. I had no doubt about who they were, for I remembered Sandy's descriptions. D'Angreville was the tall fellow in the yachting cap and grey flannels. He'd grown his beard again and looked like a naval officer, except that his light, springy stride was scarcely the walk of the quarterdeck. The dark, lean man with the long face was Carreras, the Spaniard, and beyond doubt the slim one, in the much-stained blue suit and the cap a little over one eye, was Martel, the Belgian. I had an overpowering impression of a burning vitality which was also evil, a glowing, incandescent evil. It cried out from the taut lines of D'Angreville, from his poise, like that of a waiting leopard. It clamoured from Carreras's white, pitiless face. Above all, it seemed to me that it shouted from Martel. D'Angreville was a fallen angel, Carreras a common desperado, but Martel seemed to be villain, murderer, and sneak thief all in one.
The main body is in position. All is ready, Capitano.
All according to plan. Just like the old days, eh, Carreras? We will settle our affairs with Haraldsen and my account with Clanroyden. The men know my plan, Martel.
Oui, mon capitaine. They know we go to parley first.
Très bien. Allons-y.
Watch out on the roof! You on the roof! Don't shoot!
Will you gentlemen tell me your business?
Sir Richard Hannay, isn't it? We want to talk with Mr. Haraldsen, but it would perhaps save time, trouble, if I could first have a word with Lord Clanroyden.
Sorry, Mr. Haraldsen's not at home. He's left the island.
They still keep up this pretense.
Why don't we shoot him down now and have done with it?
It will come to that soon enough, Carreras. I like to test the man's nerve. How unfortunate! What about Lord Clanroyden?
If you have anything to say, you can say it to me. Go ahead.
Our rooftop is scarcely the place for a conference. Come down and surely we can talk indoors.
And then, as I looked at the 3 men, I had a sudden inspiration. I had meant to ask that D'Angreville should be their envoy, but I observed the man Martel, standing in an odd position, his left arm flung across his chest and clutching the biceps of his right. That was an attitude I'd seen before, and it woke in me a wild surmise. It might be meant as a sign. My mind was pretty hopeless, for their desire to talk seemed to me certain proof that they wanted to make terms about the children, but it was just not sodden enough to miss this little thing. Right. I'll come down. Send one envoy.
Very well.
Not you, D'Angreville. You can keep yourself for Lord Clanroyden. I'll do my talking to, the one on your left, the ugly-looking one. Yes, you. With your arm across your chest.
That is you on both counts, Martel.
I'm going down now.
If there's any dirty work, you will pay for it bloodily, you understand?
I'll leave the door open so you can keep an eye on it. You two others stay where you are. We'll be inside the hall and the wind.
Haraldsen and Clanroyden are our objectives, Martel, and I am here for Clanroyden to answer my challenge in person.
Oui, mon capitaine.
Right, come inside.
Thank you, monsieur.
Here he is, Dick. Move out of the doorway, Lombard.
Well, what do you want?
Dick, my lad, we've made rather a hash of this business.
God knows how Sandy had managed it. There was no ordinary make-up about him, no false moustache or dyed hair or that sort of thing. But in some subtle way, he had degraded himself. That is the only word for it. Everything about him, slanting eyebrows, furtive eyes, tricky mouth, slouching shoulders, was mean and sinister, because he chose that it should be so. But when he looked me in the face with that familiar twinkle in his eyes, and that impish pucker of the lips, he was the friend I knew best in the world.
We must talk fast, for there isn't much time. I've made a deuce of a mess of things, and I thought I was being rather clever. I've done most of what I set out to do. I've got Troth and his lot scared into fits. No more high-handed crimes for them. They're sitting in the Schaldar, sweating with terror. I've collected enough evidence to keep them good for the rest of their lives. And, incidentally, to hang D'Angreville and most of his crowd.
Good.
Do you realise that up to now we had nothing against him that any court would listen to? Yeah. So I had to make him commit himself. You see that? He had to attack Haraldsen on his island and have a showdown once and for all. But when I get here, I find there's not a soul on the island but dotards, and the whole place is as unprotected as a stranded whale. That's the weather for the Grint. Gad, that would be a bit of luck. Where is Haraldsen?
Hiding beneath the hermit's cell.
I hope he'll stay in his earth. Now, see here, Dick. I've got word to the Danish destroyer that patrols the fishing banks. She's on her way, but she's coming from the Westmans and can't be here much before midnight. That gives D'Angreville time to do the deuce of a lot of damage. How long can you stick it?
Well, an hour, maybe. We've no manpower to keep them out. They're old hands and won't give us much of a chance of picking them off piecemeal.
They won't. If you can make it 3 hours, we might do the trick. I'll try to tangle up things the other end. I'll have to come over to you sometime, but I'll choose my own time for that, the moment when I can be of most use. If D'Angreville finds that he's been fooled and gets his hands on me, then my number's up, and I won't be any use to you as a corpse.
Just dat. Zo is du, Gerardina. Erst du is omhoog. Ver erst du. Zo willst du.
My name is Peter Hannay. I come from England.
Ah.
I'm a friend of Anna Haraldsen. We were staying in the house, but some crooks captured us on the Schaldar.
That is what Anna Haraldsen has told us.
You've spoken to her? You know where she is? Is she safe?
Eh? Yes, she is safe back with her own people.
Oh.
You will see. She has told us everything. You will see.
They can agree to nothing without Haraldsen's consent, and he is not there.
The girl said he was on the island only yesterday.
I report the discussion, Carreras, and what I saw with my own eyes. Haraldsen is not in the house.
But Clanroyden...
I saw no sign of him.
It is not like his way to act a coward.
He keeps out of view. I say we should attack now. We will soon find out.
I am inclined to agree.
Take
Take cover!
Carreras, come back! Get down! Carreras! Carreras!
He's dead. That man is a good shot.
We should keep down. Is it Clanroyden? Or is it Haraldsen? Keep close to the ground, Martel. We'll worm our way back to the men.
Clanroyden! Back in the house with you! Quick, my nose, I tell you! I can't handle that scarlet you and
Clanroyden, back to the house? Back to the house, but only one of us has been there. Martel, come back! Clanroyden! Clanroyden!
I was never more scared for you in my life, Sandy. Stay in behind the chimney.
Yes, it was a bit of a close call. One bullet went through my pocket. What's Dangerville up to?
He's sending men to come at Valdemar from above the cell.
If only that damned fool had stuck in his burrow and not tried to be heroic. Did you hear him? He sounded as if he's off his head. Who have you seen?
A man on the roof of the cell. He wasn't in my sights for long enough.
He didn't need to be. Petrol, they'll burn him out.
Oh, Sandy. Just below. Dangerville.
You have kept your promise, Lord Clanroyden. I'm glad of that. This would have been a dull place without you.
Thank you. I like to keep my word.
You have won the first trick. I make you my compliments. But I do not think you will win the rubber. When we have secured Mr. Haraldsen, I will give myself the pleasure of attending to you.
Oh, my God! What's that?
It's Haraldsen. He's running amok down to the terrace. No weapon.
The man's gone berserk. He's going straight for Dangerville.
What's the matter with you men?
Once in Byra, I saw a Malay run amok with a great knife. The crowd he was in almost all armed, but not a shot was fired at the man, and he'd cut a throat and split 2 skulls before he was tripped up and sat upon by a drunken sailor coming down a side street, who hadn't a notion what was afoot. That was what happened now. A tornado with death in its face swept down on Dangerville, yet 20 men with rifles and pistols left him unhindered. Haraldsen plucked Dangerville into his arms as a man might lift a child of 3, and held him up to the heavens like a priest offering a sacrifice. Then he turned and raced off the terrace, and the shooting began. Bullets kicked up flurries of dust from the flower beds, but for some unknown reason they missed him. He headed onto the downland above the sea, never slackening his pace. He took great leaps among the hags and boulders, and by some trick of light his figure seemed to increase instead of diminish with distance, so that when he came out on the cliff edge and was silhouetted against the sky, he was gigantic. He steadied himself on the brink, then swung Dangerville in his great arms and sent him hurtling into the void. Then he turned and staggered back. I got my glasses onto him and saw that he had dropped to the turf like a dead man.
Poor devil. Dangerville can't have known what was coming. Haraldsen must have hugged him senseless.
We're quit of a rascal, but we've got a maniac on our hands.
I don't think so. The fury's out of him now. Not yet 7. 5 hours to keep these wolves at bay. Great Scott, what's that? My God. The Grint has come.
He was staring southward, and when I looked there, I saw a sight which bankrupted me of breath. Across the hill moved an army of men, not less than 100 strong, sweeping towards us, overflowing the lawns. Men shaggy and foul with blood, and each with a reeking whaling spear. And in the forefront of the invaders were Anna and Peter. Dimly I saw Dangerville's men below me cast one look at the murderous spectacle, and then break wildly for the shore. It would have been a stout fellow who stood up against that nightmare army of blood-stained trolls. My last recollection is of the meal in the great hall of the house the following day. The Danish destroyer had arrived, and the gang were safely stowed away, and we were gathered together with the ship's officers and the Norlanders who had saved us for the feast of the Grint hunt. I shall never forget that scene. It was as though a Viking tale had come to life. The long oak table and gigantic chairs, the ancient timbers, the black oak panelling carved in wild grotesques, the tapestries, and the multitude of ship models of every age, in silver and ivory, horn and teak, displayed in the subtly shifting illumination of scores of candles.
I shall come back to the Normans. It was good of you to let me into this show, Dick.
You were the steadiest of the lot, Lombard. Never gave a cheep, even when things looked at their worst.
I often wanted to. I haven't gone quite soft, but I've let myself get dull and flat. I want to get air and space around me. I live in a stuffy world, so I'm coming back to the Normans to make my soul. You know well enough what I mean.
I think I do. Every man must discover his own island of sheep.
You and Clanroyden have found yours, and I'm going to find mine.
Excuse me, General. Those three in the study are ready to speak with you now.
Thank you, Geordie. Well, gentlemen, shall we hear what they've decided?
Miss Ludlow, Mr. Albinus, Mr. Troth, the destroyer is about to leave with the prisoners. Have you considered our offer?
We accept your conditions, Lord Clanroyden. We have no choice. In return for your silence about our part in this affair, I renounce any claim I or my father had on Mr. Haraldsen.
We never intended piracy to storm the island.
But once Dangravel and his ruffians took control...
You were powerless. We understand, Miss Ludlow.
I hope, Mr. Haraldsen, that we're going to forgive and forget.
I ask for nothing better. Mr. Troth, I understand you still feel some grievance against me on my father's account and for your own father's sake. Well, we are willing that some reparation should be made. Lord Clanroyden will tell you what.
This chamois leather bag belonged to the late Mr. Haraldsen. It came into my hands in rather an odd way, which you will have read about in the newspapers. I propose, Mr. Troth, to give it to you.
What?
In full settlement of any claims you may think you have against the late Mr. Haraldsen's estate. Miss Ludlow, will you open the bag?
Oh. Lancy.
It's the jade tablet, Eric. So...
It's beautiful.
It's more than that. It's the key to Haraldsen's treasure. Do you really mean me to act on what this tablet may tell me, Mr. Haraldsen?
Certainly, Mr. Troth.
And to keep for myself whatever I may find?
Certainly. For yourself and any friends who want to share with you.
One side's in Latin. The other must be the important side. Those marks must be the clue to the treasure. I suppose I can get them translated.
They've already been translated. I've seen to that.
And you found the secret of the tablet?
We found a list of the 12 main virtues and the 99 names of God.
In The Riddle of the Tablet, the final part of The Island of Sheep by John Buchan, adapted for radio by Antony Kearey, you heard Nigel Antony as Richard Hannay, Robert Lang as Lombard, Geoffrey Matthews as Valdemar Haraldsen, John Rowe as Sandy Clanroyden, and Patrick Malahide as Jacques d'Ingreville. Other parts were Peter Hannay, Jill Lidstone, Anna Haraldsen, Diana Olston, Geordie Hamilton, Joseph Brady, Lydia Ludlow, Maureen O'Brien, Troth, Ronald Baddeley, Albinus and Evanson, Nigel Graham, Jacob and Carreras, Stephen Thorne. The Island of Sheep was directed by Patrick Rayner.